Hello everyone, how you doing? Hope you're having a good Friday. Hope the end of your week's going well. As the title says, I'm sick. I had to call into work yesterday and today, and I wish I could tomorrow, but I can't. So we're gonna hang out today, and I'm gonna be miserable, and we're gonna watch stuff together, and then I'm gonna get up tomorrow at 6 a.m. and go to work, and definitely not want to die the whole time. How's everyone doing? Yay! Capitalism. Fun. How's everyone doing? Hopefully better than me. Phoenix Leftist, thanks for a 270 stream streak, says feel better soon. I'll do my best. Polysaturated Lipids, thanks for 37 months, says feel better soon. Gonna redeem lots of hydrates. That's a good idea. Thank you. Hydrate. Let's see if there's anything else I think that catches us up. Cool beans. Welcome everyone. If you missed the title, like I said, I'm sick today. So I'm pretty dry. I'm sore. I'm congested. I'm depressed. But that's separate from the sickness. That's a different sickness. That's mental health, folks. So anyway, that's it. We're gonna watch some stuff today, and it'll be fine. We'll watch some stuff. I have a show that's an anthology series before the Twilight Zone. Has a lot of the similar hallmarks of the Twilight Zone. We've watched a few episodes before. It's in the public domain, so that should be fun. We have the reconstruction of The Day the Clown Cried. You know Hannah's sick when she doesn't have soda. Oh, hun, I have soda. I shouldn't. This probably isn't helping me, but I'm doing it. Just like all the bad decisions I've made in my life. Is it my first day at work? No, I've been working there for quite a while. Did they release that yet? Not the whole movie, but parts of it. There's like 30 minutes of it released, and that's a whole thing. Anyway, so we're gonna watch a whole bunch of random stuff. Hang out. Should be fun. Come in, come out, whatever. It'll be good. Let's see what we're gonna do first. I know there was a quick thing where someone in the meme stock community was threatening people. Check this out.
Is that what you think? Dumbass motherfuckers. Look here. And then he gonna talk about something. Oh, you was jumping on the roof with your Jordans. Bro, I had to wear them fucking Jordans because they help with the pressure of dealing with a broken spine, you fucking goofy motherfucker. Meanwhile, you sold your soul to fucking short sellers. You got them all in.
I don't know who he's talking about specifically.
In the thread right now talking that dumb shit. And guess what? I called your homeboy short seller. You know what he did? He blocked me. Yeah, that tells me right there, TZ, you sold your soul, boy. You a pussy. You a pussy. Big pussy. And I'm gonna just say this to all the short sellers across the globe right now that's talking that shit, typing type. It don't matter where you lay at. We will find you. It don't matter where you lay at.
Oh, okay. He's threatening all short sellers. Probably not a good idea. That's a lot of people you're threatening and saying you're gonna find their house. It's not great.
Moaz, after we done robbing y'all motherfuckers, we finna lay all y'all motherfuckers down. You best believe, F&N's everywhere, baby. Woo, ski mask and all, baby. It's gonna be gorilla mask, bitch. Yeah, you think it's a motherfucking game. You think it's a mother...
I mean, are we at actionable threats at this point? Like, getting kind of specific about it. Or just putting it out there. Bumble Homestead, thanks for a 10 stream streak, says ice is melting in Texas and I had to put an umbrella over kiddo's sunflower after taking its snow blanket off. Gutter was leaking on it. Well, I'm glad you're able to protect it. Mr. Duck Sauce, thanks for a 15 stream streak, says, and arrest by FBI.
Fucking game, I'm telling you, knock, who's there? Pop, pop, pop. Yeah, bitch, it's a wrap for you motherfuckers. Yeah.
He just threatened to go to someone's house and shoot them.
Yeah. Show your face, TZ. Can't show your face now, can you, little pussy boy? Yeah.
Anyway, so the meme stock community's doing just awesome. Okay, let's take a look at the show. The show is called One Step Beyond. Like I said, we watched this a long time ago, some of the first episodes. I'm just continuing where we left off. We watched the first 3 episodes previously. So this is episode 4. This is called The Dark Room. Like I said, this is a show very much in the same vein as The Twilight Zone. In fact, this episode is actually from February 10th, 1959, whereas the first episode of The Twilight Zone aired, I believe, in October of 1959. So there may have been a little bit of overlap between the two shows, but One Step Beyond started first. And luckily, it's in the public domain. I think the creators of it didn't renew their thing or whatever. So we get to hang out and watch it. I picked this because when I was younger and I was sick, I used to like to watch The Twilight Zone. So. Lilac Rosenberg says, TikTok is getting banned. I won't be able to send you bangers like this anymore.
What is the hardest substance you've ever taken, and how was that experience?
That's a very interesting question.
Isn't it?
The hardest substance I've ever taken
Yes, ma'am.
was swallowing the amount of money wasted on the military-industrial complex.
Woo, TikTok getting banned just in time for Meta to change their policies. So there's one group it's okay to call mentally ill on their platforms. Can you guess what group you can call mentally ill and no other groups you're allowed to call mentally ill? Not a joke. One Step Beyond!
This is the scene of the crime. This house, somewhere in France.
By the way, you can't, I gotta iterate, I have to reiterate this. You can't, like, call someone who's literally mentally ill on Facebook or Instagram. You can't be like, oh, you're crazy, you're mentally ill. You can't go to a Republican and be like, oh, wow, you have a hyperfixation on other people's genitals. You're mentally ill. However, you can absolutely do it to trans and LGBT people. Putting it out there. Very strange they made a policy exception specifically to target queer people. God bless America.
A normal, attractive American girl lived a lifetime in 48 hours. If old houses could only talk, what stories they could tell.
What platform again? All of Meta platforms, so Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Meta, VR stuff.
Well, this ancient dwelling has a voice that Rita Wallace will soon hear quite distinctly.
He's no Rod Serling.
This is not very modern. It's quite old, but very comfortable. And that, mademoiselle, is the dining room. The living room, the library, anything that you want.
Yeah, that's usually the case. I'm not sure if that's the specific case here, Jay's a Proxy, or if it was just the company let the thing lapse. That's sometimes the case as well. I really don't know with this one.
What's this? Oh, that's a storeroom now. Many years ago, that used to be the cool room. We used to keep the butter, eggs, milk, all sorts of things like that in there.
I could use it for a dark room. It's right near the sink.
The plumbing is quite old. It still goes.
It's really good to put your chemicals you're using, your volatile film developing chemicals, and just put them right down the city sewer. That's really good for everyone. Nerdy, thanks for 115 stream streaks. Says, I was going to say it'll ruin the metaverse, but that would require anyone not named Zuckerberg to care about that. Can I call people mentally ill for not having legs in the metaverse?
And that is Madame Rocamier.
It's lovely.
Oh, mademoiselle.
Meta is Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and the VR stuff. Oh, and WhatsApp. They own WhatsApp.
Flu bug or something.
Remember when everything on the internet wasn't owned by the same 3 companies? That was like a nice decade. That was a nice decade there.
I think you have fever.
I'll be all right.
I've got a very good physician. I better call him for you.
Oh, I'll be fine. Ooh. Oh.
What movie is this? This isn't a movie. This is a show called One Step Beyond. It's an anthology horror, supernatural, sci-fi show. Think Twilight Zone, but this was before the Twilight Zone, just slightly.
This is not very impressive, but it's the only house that I have.
Oh,
Of course, I've got a chateau. It's quite grand, but expensive.
No, this is fine. I'll take it.
This is more documentary style. That's what they claim. The idea, I didn't explain the idea of the show. I did the first time we watched it, but this is the second, and it's been a while. I guess I should explain the conceit of the show. The conceit of this show is that these stories are supposed to have actually happened. Actually happened. Air quote, air quote, air quote. To give you an example of how true these true stories are, literally at least one of them was also adapted into an episode of the Twilight Zone. Something You Need, I think is the name of it. Anyway, the point is they're not true stories. They're either urban legends or short stories that have been adapted into television, but the show claims they're true stories or inspired by true events. You know how it is. You tell a fake story, you pretend it really happened, make it seem more intense or dramatic. Green guy with a $3 tip says, what's the time? It's time to get ill. And what's the time? It's time to get ill. So what's the time? It's time to get ill. Now, what's the time? It's time to get ill. I'm not the type of person who likes to waste my time, and when I'm on the mic... Oh, don't make me rap.
Feel too rotten to look any farther anyhow.
Oh, I think you better see the doctor. My doctor is not very expensive.
No, really, I'll be all right. I'll get some headache pills when I go out.
It was a Henry Kuttner short story. It was sci-fi, but Twilight Zone made it fantasy. The Thing You Need one about the street peddler. Interesting. It's funny, because Twilight Zone is normally quite comfortable in the realm of sci-fi. It's interesting that they would change that one to more fantastical.
Who's this?
Oh, that is Tante Clara. Mademoiselle, did I understand you to say that you are...
Nerdy says there's a drama about the SAS over here with a great way of explaining itself, inspired by true events. To be clear, this is not a history lesson.
With an American magazine?
Yes. I'm a staff photographer.
The boys that are beastie, like a pinch on the neck from Mr. Spock.
Your vacation, no?
No. It's an assignment I've wanted to do for a long time. To be called...
The Beastie Boys canonically exist in the Kelvin verse. So does that line still exist in that song that the Beastie Boys do about a pinch on the neck from Mr. Spock? But it can't be, because in that universe, the Star Trek couldn't have been a show, because it's a real thing.
The face of France. The collective face, you see.
Maybe they changed it to Dr. Spock, and in that universe, the child care doctor who wrote that book is very known for pinching people's necks for no good reason.
Various individuals who altogether will express the nature and the spirit of the country, if I'm lucky.
Oh, it must be very, very interesting.
You know what?
What?
You could help make it interesting.
How?
Well, the pictures can be only as good as the models. If you know anyone whose face is interesting, expressing character, good or bad, I'd be very grateful if you could send him over. I'll pay, naturally.
I think I'm going to look for somebody like that.
Oh, good. Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh, it is a very good bed, and I think you're going to sleep very good. If you need anything, call me. I'll be downstairs.
Thank you, madame.
Gonna be a ghost in the dark room. Hey, Sophie, how's it going? The title of this is One Step Beyond. This is the 4th episode called The Dark Room from 1959. That Miss Hathaway from the Beverly
Yes.
Hillbillies. I'll have to get a closer look at her when it goes back to her
What do you want?
front. I don't think so.
I asked what you wanted.
I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I think this lady's too young.
Mademoiselle.
This Beverly Hillbillies was around this time, too.
By whom? Oh, of course, Madame Morel. Forgive me for being so
Let me
rude.
double check. Unless
not
I'm
feeling any
confusing
too
her
well
with someone else.
today.
Which one was Miss Hathaway? I was thinking the banker lady.
I must thank Madame Morel. She's a very good judge.
Oh yeah, no, that's not her.
Won't you sit down? You have quite a wonderful face, you know. Have you ever had your picture taken before?
Some time ago.
Oh, this is going to be just swell. Oh, where is my head? I left my camera and all my equipment in the car. Would you be so kind as to help me? S'il vous plaît. I hate to miss any of this light. It's all in the car, a whole lot of stuff. Oh, such eyes. This is going to be marvelous. That's nice. Oh, good. Lovely. Ah, lovely. Now, you just do whatever you feel like doing. Make yourself comfortable. If you feel like moving around,
Looks
that's
like her.
fine.
The voice
You
is very different,
don't have
and
to hold still.
I'm not sure I see the resemblance either, just personally, but the voice is certainly different.
What are you doing?
I'm taking your picture. You're not familiar with this camera?
No. No, I'm not.
They've had good ones for, 25 years, I suppose. Though the film and developers have improved a great deal recently. A good one. They're very good for fast work and changing light. Oh, Monsieur Good. That's good? Wonderful. Now then, look a little to your right. As close to the sun as you can without it hurting your eyes.
It doesn't hurt.
Oh,
This is
That's
actually
wonderful.
this isn't a Twilight Zone episode, Nemesaur. It's Jay's a Proxy rather. It's a show similar, but it's not the Twilight Zone. You've
just
probably not seen this.
one more.
It's possible, but this played a lot less than the Twilight Zone in syndication. I actually don't know if this hit syndication. Twilight Zone did eventually. This may not have. I think this only got to 67 episodes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, if you have time, I'd like to get some lights set up. Oh. I don't know if I'll be able to do it
You've seen
after
a
all.
Twilight Zone episode about a camera that tells the future? Yeah, that's called the most peculiar camera, I think. Or a special kind of camera.
I'm awfully
I feel like the ending of that one's a real cop-out.
sorry. I feel just
Like, I like it until, like, almost the very last thing that happens. I don't want to spoil it, because it's Twilight Zone, and they're predicated on spoilers. But I don't know, that last death I don't really get.
awful. Everything goes in and out of focus. Almost like a bad camera.
A most unusual camera, thank you. Yes, they find the camera that I believe in French says 10 uses per user or whatever, and you get basically 10 pictures in the future.
It isn't the camera, it's me.
What?
If you're more familiar with Goosebumps, it's the Say Cheese and Die camera. It's the Say Cheese and Die camera, except Twilight Zone came first.
A shame.
Could you come back tomorrow night?
Yes, I think I can do it again since I have this time.
Oh, good. I'd like to get some very careful shots.
That's cool, Will Kale. Mom, can we have Twilight Zone? We have Twilight Zone at home. The Twilight Zone we have at home.
I'm really not up to it tonight.
Oh yeah, Stein took his ideas from all over the genre. That's one of the things that makes Goosebumps so brilliant, is that it introduces kids to so many of the genre trappings of horror. Oh, thanks, Kevin. Welcome.
Strange, you didn't even say goodbye.
Sorry you caught me today. I'm sick today, so I'm a little low energy relative to typical, but I appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
Ah, bonjour.
Oh, hello.
I was quite concerned about you. How do you feel?
Oh, a little better.
Oh, you still look a little kicked. You still should see my doctor.
Haven't the time.
Well, you could come over to your place.
Thank you, Mrs. Morel.
I've
but
not seen Creature Commandos yet, no.
Really much-
I've heard it's really great, and that there's a character that just fucking loves murdering Nazis, which, like, that's always a fun character archetype.
Better.
Speaking of which, I've been playing the Indiana Jones game. Very fun. Cathartic.
Good, good. Thank you, merci. Anyway, you've done enough for me already by sending me that delightful old gentleman last night. The one with the, you know, the black hair and a sweet face.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I sent no one, although I intend to.
Well, that's odd. I was sure you had. He just sort of appeared. He must have thought I was crazy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'll love it. I'll check it out at some point.
Well, who was he then?
Maybe someone that worked for a previous tenant, and he came to see if you needed anyone while he saw you moving in.
Sorry, the kitty's attacking my foot. Let me guess. Did the guy, like, leave, like, I don't know if I missed it. I might have been talking to you guys. Sorry. Did she find that camera in the house? Hey, buddy. Ouchie. Did he, like, leave evidence of a crime on the film, on the camera, and he doesn't want her to use up the roll? He needs to get the camera, otherwise she'll develop the film and find the crime?
Yes, that makes sense. Anyway, he's coming back tonight. He's a wonderful model. Merci, merci. Thank you.
Nice unconditional prong. The Substance is incredible. One of my favorite movies of the last year. I love body horror, though, so I'm biased. Any body horror film that's good in a year is probably going to be my favorite. Well, it's a great body horror film. Is that Cloris Leachman? No. No. It's funny, because someone else asked if it was... So, Cloris Leachman was in the movie version of Beverly Hillbillies, but that's not what was asked about before. It's kind of funny. Wait, is that Cloris Leachman? Holy shit, I don't know if I've ever seen her this young. You love that I have the Double Dragon movie as a Blu-ray want? I love bad movies. I own a lot of bad movies. I love them, unironically. And ironically, but also unironically. There's something to, like, filmmaking. Because even when a movie's bad, if it comes together, the story of how a bad movie is made can still be kind of evident on screen, and that's interesting in its own right. What episode is this? 3 or 4? This is 4. Yeah, she won a Golden Globe. If she doesn't win an Oscar, wait, has it even been nominated? Have they announced the nominations for the Oscars? The Oscars infamously hate horror films and triply hate body horror films. So The Substance is going to get snubbed big time, which is unfortunate because it deserves recognition. But the Oscars suck when it comes to horror. Doubly so when it's body horror. They're kind of snooty. Not yet due to the fires. Okay. Hopefully, she'll get something. If she doesn't at least get nominated for Best Actress, I'll be pretty... I won't be surprised because, again, the horror thing, but I will be saddened if she doesn't at least get nominated. I think she deserves it.
Would you mind knocking when you come in? Perhaps it isn't the custom in your country, but it makes me terribly nervous.
Forgive me, mademoiselle. I'm sorry.
No, you forgive me.
Is The Substance technically a horror, or could it be a thriller similar to Silence of the Lambs, which swept the Oscars? See, it's funny that you bring that up, because I feel like that's the only time when the Academy does give any recognition to horror movies, is when they can spin it as like, oh, it's a thriller, you know what I mean? When it's marginal, when they can kind of look the other way and go, well, it also kind of straddles this other genre, so... I find what you say unfortunately prescient. Can't we just admit that horror is a genre that's helped move the medium forward? You don't have to be weird about it. You don't have to be like, well, it's a horror movie, though. Sorry, this is my stupid hill to die on. It just annoys me how horror movies are often seen as this lower thing. And I get why. There's a lot of trash in the horror genre, but that doesn't lessen the great things that have come out of it.
I just don't feel very well, and I'm just...
According to the Golden Globes, The Substance is a musical comedy. No, it is in the musical or comedy category, and it has to do with the more classical idea of drama versus comedy, as opposed to a statement about the modern colloquial genre in which it resides.
Not myself today.
Has mademoiselle's ailment improved?
A little, but
Humble Homestead with a $10 tip says, sick day subsidy. Thank you, I really appreciate it.
I'm afraid my disposition hasn't. It was awfully nice of you to come back this evening. Would you like a cup of tea?
No, thank you.
The Thing got nominated for a Razzie for the score, and that score is classic. The Razzies, I can enjoy the Razzies sometimes, but A, they just get it wrong a lot. Like, I don't know if you remember this, I'm pretty sure The Shining got a bunch of Razzie Awards the year it came out, including Shelley Duvall, I think, for Worst Performance. I don't know. I get the point of the Razzies. I'm certainly not going to say you shouldn't make fun of bad movies. I do it. But, like, the Razzies are particularly bad sometimes at picking movies that are actually bad and what movies they're just bandwagoning on for some very silly reason.
Well, then shall we get started? Good. Would you sit here? By the way...
I still haven't seen Oppenheimer.
Did you happen to come here last evening? I thought Madame Morel had sent you, but she said no.
Oh, I just came. I've been here before.
Is Poor Things the Emma Roberts movie by Killing of a Sacred Deer? What's his name? Yorgos Lanthimos, fucking Dogtooth.
That's what she thought. Oh, by the way, I pay for the posing.
No pay is necessary.
But of course I wouldn't expect you to do it for nothing. Do the lights bother your eyes?
No, I don't mind.
Good. Now, and I'm using a slower shutter than yesterday, so I'll have to ask you to hold still when I make each shot.
This guy a vampire? I think he's a killer or something and left this camera there. He's trying to get it so she doesn't find the evidence or something. Worst actress and worst director nominations, although they have since rescinded the nomination for Duvall, but not Kubrick. That's so funny. Like, you don't have to like The Shining. Like, The Shining's not one of my favorite movies to sit down and watch. Like, I can respect it, and, like, I understand what a feat of filmmaking it is, and details, and all that bullshit, whatever. It sucked fucking Stanley Kubrick's posthumous dick. I get it. Not one I'd, like, sit down and watch, usually. But to try and say it's badly directed is so off the mark. It's like someone saying that they think the Beatles sucked. Like, really? You cannot like the Beatles, but if you think the Beatles suck, you're just, like, full of shit. MH Darkbeast says, did you see we're getting a 4K Night of the Creeps from Scream Factory? Plus it comes with Tom Atkins in his suit from the dream sequence. That's a link to Girl Deleted? I think you sent me the wrong link. I assume this is videos that Girl Defined deleted. I assume that link was for someone else. Unless you want me to look at this, which I might sometime. Yeah, I figured it was the wrong link.
Now, could you lean back just a little? There, that's good.
You learned that John Lennon nearly beat a friend to death and may have had a thing for his mother. That's a lot in one sentence. I'm gonna imagine I didn't read that. Generty says, what feels like a badly advised attempt at a career revival, Armie Hammer is going to try and relaunch his career by making an Uwe Boll movie. I saw that, and one article I saw called the movie The Dark Knight, and another called it American Psycho. Is Uwe Boll just trying to get press by calling his new movie other movies that already exist?
Good. Would you look a little to your right? Good. And just a little down. That's a good one. Good. Now, straighten up just a bit. Good. Good. Let's turn your whole body. That's good. Oh, that's wonderful. You're not a professional by any chance? A professional model?
No.
All right. Now then, if you're quite comfortable, I'd like for you to...
There it is. Oh my god,
back.
the NECA figure.
Remember something a little sad. Something that happened that made you unhappy.
You know, I'm not a figure person, but boy, that sure is one for the collection. Night of the Creep suit. That's wonderful.
Happy, perhaps. Something you did, perhaps, that you regret. Just continue to sit that way. That's good, fine. Just keep on that way, thinking about it, so we can get what we call a mood picture. Oh, good one. Monsieur, soften your face. Just, that's a little too much, Monsieur.
I think that he knows she's almost to the roll of film, and once she does, she will develop the film, and on the film is something he doesn't want her to see. That's what I think.
Monsieur, just relax now. That's fine. Just relax, Monsieur. That's good. You can move now. I expect that's all we'll have to take today.
Where have you been, Cecile?
Cecile? What do you mean?
You know what I mean, you filthy, cheap, rotten shame!
I think you'd better go now.
So you can meet him! Who is he now, Cecile? Who? The same one? Or new one, Cecile? Tell me, Cecile!
Please, you're frightening me. Go away.
I told you what would happen, Cecile! I warn you, Cecile! I warn you! I warn you, Cecile!
The scariest slasher villain, an angry Frenchman. That's actually what makes Art the Clown so scary, is he's French. Doesn't talk on film, but you can sense it. You can sense that Frenchness right in his bones. Le slash. By the way, I like the Terrifier movies now. I like the Terrifier movies now. I didn't get it after just watching the first one. I get it now. I get it.
Mademoiselle! Mademoiselle! Mademoiselle, ouvrez donc la porte!
Sad the guy who wrote and directed Night of the Creeps and Monster Squad never had much of a career, especially as both are huge cult classics now. I love Monster Squad. I love that movie so much. I wish they had gotten a sequel. I loved that movie as a kid. Because I was into Universal Monster movies and stuff. So, like, there were monster mashes back in the day. You know, you had, like, House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. But, like, Monster Squad, I think, was the first time I really saw all those monsters together in a way that kind of made sense in a modern team-up way, where the characters were all sort of given a decent amount of screen time and treated respectfully. So anyway, I love Monster Squad.
J'ai quelqu'un ici qui vous attend là dehors. What is it? What's the matter?
Where is he?
That's what a monster mash is. That's not the original meaning of a monster mash. There was a word for, like, a monster team-up fight movie. I forget what it was, though. But anyway, later, in more modern times, and by modern, I mean, like, the 90s to now, that kind of movie is colloquially referred to as a monster mash movie, usually, as a reference to the Boris Pickett song Monster Mash. Okay, yeah, I have my pop culture ducks in a row. We got it.
Where is he?
Who do you mean?
He's hiding.
Hiding?
He's hiding. Where is he?
There is nobody in the house.
You thought Monster Mash was just a song and 20 bad follow-ups? If you tell me that Monster Beach Party is a bad song one more time and you're banned... That's a joke. Monster Beach Party is mediocre at best. Sorry, Boris.
That's
He was here. He tried to kill me. He tried to kill me.
Look at
He tried to kill me.
I went out and I got the
He
song
tried to
down.
kill me.
Oh, la 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 la.
You know, maybe sci-fi wasn't his genre.
Searched the entire house with you. True? And he found no one. He also searched the entire neighborhood. Is that not so? You have found no one who resembles him?
No one?
It is a very odd story. I cannot imagine who it might have been.
You don't believe me?
It is odd. Very odd. Don't you agree?
Is Darkwing one of my pop cultural ducks? Yeah, he sits in my brain along with Donald and Howard, and they waste space so I can't learn math.
Mademoiselle, here's some hot coffee for you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, how thoughtful you are.
Tell me, mademoiselle, what was the address of that house again?
344 Avenue.
How much space in my brain is made up of fictional ducks? Let me think for a second. Donald, Daffy, Howard, Louie, Huey, Dewey, Scrooge Mick, Robo-Duck. What about the Tailspin Duck? Launchpad McQuack. I remembered his name, it counts. Daisy. Daisy counts. Negaduck. I don't remember Bubba. Lemon. Ludwig von Drake. I do remember that character. A lot of these are from the same shows, but that's the nature of the beast. What's this fucking bird's name? Hold on. I got one of these. Baby Huey. He's a duck. Baby Huey's a duck. We did it. All the ducks in Duck Hunter. I'll count that as one duck. I said Daffy. He was one of the first ones I mentioned. Count Duckula. Yeah. Duck Dodgers is Daffy. That doesn't count. I already said Daffy. You can't count Duck Dodgers. Nerdy says, that's a trick question, Hannah's brain is a pop cultural duck. That sounded a lot funnier in my head. I don't get it. Howard? I said Howard.
We have covered everyone who have a record of in this district, mademoiselle.
I didn't see your message.
Of course, he could be from somewhere else. Eh, Mazak?
It could be almost anybody.
Detective Mazak knows everyone around here. He has a photographic memory. Now, if you could be a little more...
Tiny Toons Daffy is just Daffy again.
Explicit.
How stupid I am. I have dozens of photographs of him.
You
Oh, in
still
chat?
have them?
Of course.
Oh, no, I'm good. Baha, thanks.
I could develop them in a few minutes if somebody could go back with me. I can't go back there alone.
I would be very happy to take Mademoiselle home.
No, Mazak, you're going off duty. Brunel will...
No. It's on my way. Mademoiselle, if you please.
S'il vous plaît, merci.
Did I see the most recent season of What If? I haven't. I don't like the What If series, which sucks because I love the comics. But for whatever reason, they decided to do a stupid overarching story in the show, which is so antithetical to the whole point of What If stories. Anyway, yeah, I know. Howard the Duck got a lady pregnant. I know.
Over there.
Darcy from the Thor movies and WandaVision gets impregnated by Howard the Duck. Kat Dennings is impregnated by Howard the Duck.
I know. Do you mind if I smoke my pipe?
Oh, not at all.
We got Mr. Blast to say ooh woo. We did it.
You're off duty, though. You should have gone home.
The
That's
psyop
all
is
right.
complete.
I wanted to see the pictures. Tell me, how did the man first get in touch with you?
Well, he didn't get in touch with me. He just was there. He didn't knock.
Did it not seem peculiar? Did it not disturb you?
Well, yes, but
I missed the closest thing to Pacific Rim versus Godzilla we'll ever get. Did they fight Kaiju USA? Are people familiar with the character Kaiju USA? His name is Todd. Todd Ziller is this character's name. He's an American kaiju. He turns into a Godzilla monster, and his name is Todd Ziller. Did not make this up.
he had such a wonderful face. They're ready now.
Hulk against Avengers Max. The Hulk isn't that big.
Now, perhaps the
Oh, it's like a big
inspector
Hulk.
won't think I'm just
Okay.
an hysterical woman.
Ah, he does not.
Oh, yes.
I know that I know that the light that is in this room is probably supposed to be red because it's a dark room, but it's so clearly not. It's so clearly just a room they have a light bulb in. That's not what red light looks like on black and white film. Sorry.
Yes, he does. It can't be.
Let me guess. It's pictures of a murder he committed against his previous wife or something who cheated on him.
How could it
Oh
be?
no, he was a ghost. He was a ghost. It was empty. I see. Kind of lame that he's just a ghost.
But he was here. He was right here.
Mademoiselle.
He tried to kill me.
Mademoiselle.
I'm not imagining it. He tried to kill me. You have to believe me. You have to.
Mademoiselle,
Do you
please.
think I'm crazy?
Please, do not excite yourself. I do believe you.
You believe he was here?
I believe you are telling me the truth. Mademoiselle, I want you to come with me on a short trip.
Where? For what?
I want to show you something. Oh, I promise no harm will come to you.
For what? Where? What's it about?
I must ask you to come with me without telling you what I expect, because I don't expect it. But we must find out.
That's really bad dialogue. Who wrote this crap?
But we must.
I will take you without telling you what I expect, because I do not expect it.
Find out.
Terrible.
Mademoiselle, please. Please, mademoiselle.
It's weekly TV in the 50s. I get it. You just gotta write it. Get it out. We got soap commercials to sell. It's fine. Just write something. We gotta show 7 laxative commercials this half hour. I cannot overstate how many laxative commercials used to be on TV in like the 50s and 60s. Everyone had constipation. It's insane. The sudden access to industrialized red meat just made everyone so constipated all the time. And instead of being like, hey, maybe we're not eating enough, like, roughage, they just took so much laxative.
Mademoiselle.
Fred Flintstone's Puff Winstons. Winstons taste good like a cigarette should. The fact that that is in my... I wasn't alive when Winston was still doing commercials on TV. And that jingle is still indelibly burned into my brain. The most brilliant marketing jingle in history. Literally conditioning you with that little... It's literally like a Pavlovian response. Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. It's toasted. I understood that reference. First episode of Mad Men.
Oh.
Our competitors tobacco gives you cancer. Ours is toasted.
Died 1926.
Hannah's brain is so much fun. Try living there. Like Disneyland. It's funny. It's fun to be there for like 5 hours. And then you're like, all right, I'm ready to go home. This is exhausting.
Executed for killing his young wife. The very same house, the very same room.
What was her name?
Cecil.
We did it! Because that's the thing he said. He was a vengeful spirit! I'd like to buy the world a Coke. Perfect harmony.
Dead men do tell tales. Sometimes, the restless ones even revisit the scene of the crime, causing much havoc among the living thereby. What do you suppose that Rita Wallace will tell her grandchildren one day about Monsieur...
Mossloth says, me and my twin both have ADHD, and both of us, and people tell both of us we're very funny when we're just interacting like normal, LMAO. Yeah, that's why you just gotta lean into it. And then when people react like you've done something funny, you're just like, I'm intentionally doing that. I'm clever, actually. I'm very funny. I'm not just weird and leaning into it. I'm funny? Question mark? Yeah. Yeah, let's go with that.
Jean Gabot. Will she try to explain it? At all? Well, that I would like to hear, because I can't explain it. But it happened just the same. So did next week's adventure into the world of the unknown. More about that in a moment.
They need a commercial to tell people what to take so they can poop.
Oh. About next week. Well, it begins with a silly argument about this hat. And it ends when two people in peril, miles apart, discover an amazing kind of communication. An incredible way of finding each other, as together they take that one step beyond.
You're trying to sell me on the next episode with hat? Jesus Christ. I know this guy isn't Rod Serling, but like, come back next week. Our story has a hat. See you then, folks. Do-do-do-do-do. Alright, let's watch the hat one. Yeah, hat!
The amazing drama you're about to see is a matter of human record. You may believe it or not. But the real people who lived this story, they believe it. They know. They took that one step beyond.
One step beyond! Get it? They're like steps. They're like stair steps. Visual, whatever. Where's the hat? You promised us a hat!
How many ways are there for human beings to communicate with each other? The kiss? The glance? The word?
Those three. Those are the three. Those are the three things humans can do. Kissing, glances, words. Done.
And there's another. An incredible other.
Hats. Communicating via hat.
Happen anytime, any place. To anybody. To anybody.
All you had to do was be nice to him.
Seems to me you were nice enough for both of us.
Now what kind of a crap...
Is the audio a little backed up for you, or is it because I'm wearing wireless headphones? I can't tell if it's the video file. But let me check this real quick. Definitely lagging with my headphones a little bit.
What is that?
Oh, come on, kiddo. You knew what you were doing every minute.
Yes, I knew what I was doing.
You don't...
Let me check this.
Trying to keep you from cutting your...
Okay, I think it was the headphones. Weird. Maybe I'll reconnect them later and see if it readjusts, but they were kind of off.
Own throat. Of course, you're such a successful lawyer. We don't need a $2,000 retainer.
Now, wait a minute.
Oh, no. We don't have any bills to pay. Our
It's still lagging, but it's not as bad as it was for me with the headphones.
closets are bulging.
Oh, now, shut up. And that ridiculous hat. I mean, it's embarrassing. Looks like you bought it at the dime store.
This guy needs to die. He's insulted the hat. Sir, we came here for that hat. And while I admit it's not a hat that I would wear, it is not a chapeau for myself, I do believe that that hat works for her. So shut it.
That's it. Yeah, that's just fine. I was wondering when you were going to get around to that.
Yeah, cry about your hat, lady.
Well, I think it's a pretty hat.
Oh, isn't that interesting, Mr. Wallace? My, what a fascinating career you've had, Mr. Wallace. And that low-cut dress you insisted on wearing? And what about the way you were dancing with him?
You're just jealous. Jealous of a fat old man. And dumb. Oh, arguing politics with a prospective client.
Well, what was I supposed to do? Crawl, yes him to death like you did? Beg him for his business? Look, I don't need anybody that bad.
No, of course not. Not a Clarence Darrow like you. Thanks a lot for opening the door.
Once you get a little...
I know that this is pedantic and this is stupid, but neither of them is wet after walking from the car to here. I'm willing to accept that there's an awning or something over the entrance to the house. That's not uncommon, but they should still be wet from walking from the car to the door.
Louder than the whole neighborhood can hear you.
Maybe I will.
Rick M says, you like ska? Oh god, what is... One Step Beyond, same title. And I actually do like ska.
To the rockiness, rocks.
Oh, fuck yeah. What is that? Why does ska just make you want to do shit like this? In, like, outfits that don't fit correctly? It does kind of just make you want to... I can't play this for copyright reasons. Fuck yeah.
You're back just about the time you said you'd be. Debbie was just fine, Mrs. Jansen. She went to bed at 8:30 sharp without any...
By the way, if you've never seen the Adult Swim show Delocated, at least watch one episode for me. Find the Ska Mitzvah episode of Delocated and watch it. Thank you. This has been my TEDx talk.
Not at all.
How much do I owe you, Mrs. Ford?
Well, let's see. About 4 hours. That would be $3, I guess. Well, did you have a nice time, Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
I hope you ask me again. You know, I enjoyed it so much, and Debbie's such a nice little girl. Well, good night.
Night.
Now, I want to tell you something.
Don't tell me anything.
Despite your rudeness, Mr. Wallace is going to call and have you take on his legal work.
Sure he is. Is that the payoff for your dancing with him all night? What else did he whisper in your ear?
He didn't whisper anything in my ear. Just so happens I knew what he was thinking.
Now we come to the mind-reading bit again. You knew what he was thinking. You knew what he was thinking. You know what I'm thinking. You know what everybody's thinking, and I'm sick of it.
It seems to me you're getting sick of a lot of things.
$3 for 4 hours? Let me look what the inflation would be on that. This was $59.
You mean watching my wife throwing herself around like a common, low-down cheap...
I'm sorry.
$3 would be equivalent to $32.64, roughly. Not going to be exact because buying power is a little different, but that'll give you at least just the pure inflation numbers. $34 for 4 hours is still not very much money. Was it just to watch the house? I guess that's fine. You're just sitting there for the most part. That's fine. Wait, was she babysitting? That's way too cheap for babysitting. $34 for... That's less than $10 an hour to babysit. And she's like an adult. That's crazy. That's insane. $10 an hour to babysit is fucking crazy. That's insane. At least $15 an hour? I would expect $15 an hour from, like, a teenager. Like, I would expect, like a 15-year-old to be like, I will charge you $15 an hour to babysit. An adult, it would be higher than that. Like, I already find hiring teenagers to babysit your kids to be a little weird, but I get it, you know? But yeah, an adult, it would be more than 15. I would think it's a child. Watching a child sucks.
Not a Clarence Darrow like you. Clarence Darrow.
Your partner's a child care specialist and she charges $25 an hour minimum? Yeah, that's more what I was thinking. He's gonna make the car stinky. This was 1959. The whole world was stinky. Every building was full of smoke. Everyone smoked all the time. He did throw away the hat. In fate hands now. Is that a big boulder? Hold on, I gotta appreciate the boulder miniature. Okay, so we have this little miniature cliff thingy, and you have a boulder. I mean, at least they rolled the film at the correct speed that it looked big and impactful. Like, you can tell it's a model, but I've seen worse from television for the time, that's for sure. I'd put that on par with an Ultraman mini of the day. It's a simple shot, but it's fine. That's fine. Why doesn't he like the hat? The hat killed his mother. I don't know, he just thinks it's ugly, I guess. I don't know.
What's the matter with me?
The miniatures in Ultraman were pretty good. It's the best part of old Ultraman. And I like, I'm not gonna grab it just because it's under a bunch of stuff, but like, the early seasons of Ultraman, for me, the best part's the miniatures, because a lot of the acting isn't very good. No offense to them, it'd be like complaining about the acting in, like, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, like, it's, you know, it is what it is. It's like a kid's show. Later seasons and more modern stuff is, you know, has a lot more going for it. But at least those first, like, series or two, like Ultra Q, the first Ultraman, even like Ultra 7, a lot of the fun in those is seeing the miniatures and stuff. Yeah, a lot of Ultraman is on Tubi, actually. If you have Tubi, or Freevee might have some too, there's a lot of Ultraman, there's Super Sentai, which is what Power Rangers is based off of. There's some Kamen Rider. I think they have the original Kamen Rider V3, and some of the more recent stuff. Oh no, I don't think another guy gave her the hat. I'm really not trying to shit on Tokusatsu acting. I love Tokusatsu, but you know, especially like early Ultraman was aimed at like younger kids, so the acting is a lot broader, a lot sillier, which again, I like silly, I like campy. Fine, it's just not gonna win an Emmy, you know? They're ending Freevee, that sucks. So his wife, he sucks, and his wife is a cool psychic, yes. Oh, anyone who is a Tokusatsu fan, by the way, I watched the trilogy of Kamen Rider films from Shin Kamen Rider Prologue, Kamen Rider Zeo, and Kamen Rider J. They were all excellent, but I'm particularly upset that Shin Kamen Rider Prologue never got a sequel or a series, because it was perfect. Perfect. Body horror and henshin action, like it was made for me. But alas, no more. Jay was also awesome. Zayo was fine. But Jay and Shin prologue were my favorite. Shin Kamen Rider's suit has been ravaged by time and it never gets fixed. Oh yeah. I know he's shown up on like Kamen Rider Decade and some other crossover stuff, I think, which I haven't seen. But yeah, I imagine the suit gets absolutely brutalized, and like, you can probably tell because it's supposed to look more natural and bug-like. Probably a pain in the ass to fix, even if they were to fix it. You can't hear someone yell out my leg without instantly thinking of that one fish from SpongeBob. Oh yeah, that's like a new Wilhelm scream. My leg! What is it with trans people and body horror? You, Cassifel, my brother, his boyfriend, LMAO, every person I know, every trans person I know is a horror fan. Body horror in particular is because it's very relatable, because our entire existence is body horror. Like, having to go through puberty, the wrong puberty, is like a Cronenbergian nightmare. Relatable. You're halfway through the third Sentai series, Denzemon. Yeah, I have the Shout Factory sets, so the earliest the one I have, I think, is Jetman. Fortunately. Although Jetman is great, I've heard. I haven't watched it yet. I have heard from many Jetman is one of the best Sentai series. But I haven't watched it yet.
Oh my God. Carol?
Well.
I'm sorry, Mommy, but
I'm sorry, is this carpeted? Is this kitchen carpeted?
you were still asleep and it was getting late.
Please
so I
tell me that's linoleum and not carpet. It's so hard to tell with the black and white and the poor quality. Please.
thought I'd better make my own breakfast. And look what happened.
It's all right, Tebby. I'll clean it up. Go sit down now.
Have you ever seen kitchens with
Gonna have to hurry, 'cause
carpets?
you're gonna be
I think anyone who installs a kitchen with a carpet should have a mandatory CAT scan.
late for school.
Same with bathrooms.
Where's
One of your grandparents had a carpeted kitchen. Yeah, my grandparents have a carpeted bathroom. I don't even want to think about the decades and strata of pubes that are in that carpet. Generations of family pubes are just like...
Has he gone already?
Yes, he had to leave very early. Now, you hurry up and finish this, because you're going to be late.
Did I tell you that Laura got a pink sweater set for her birthday?
It's not a carpet, it's all pubes. Why does my family have pink shag carpet pubes?
Now, isn't till Saturday? But she's gonna wear it to school today anyhow. You're not listening.
What, dear?
About Laura and her
Really, Hannah? Generations? Yeah! Yes! My grandparents are old! Their parents have been in the house when they were alive. Their kids, aka my parents and aunts, my generation, so me and my cousins. My cousins have kids. Think how many generations that is of family pubes.
Birthday.
Yes, dear.
Am I going to have a birthday party this year, Mommy?
We'll talk about it later, Debbie.
But it's only 3 months from now. We have to make plans. What are you and Daddy going to get me for my birthday? I can keep a secret.
No, you can't. You're the biggest blabbermouth in town. Now, hurry up and finish your breakfast.
MH Darkby says, Hannah, people do vacuum and steam clean, and people also ignore those facts to make jokes on the internet for their job. What's he been doing all night? Just hanging out?
Will? Oh, it's you, Mr. Wallace. Oh, of course I'm not disappointed. But you did call just like I said. No, of course I'm surprised. I just meant... Oh, no, Will's not here. He already left for the office.
How does the hat save the day? I don't think we're ever gonna see the hat again, sadly.
Well, I guess he'll be in real soon. He must have stopped to see a client. If I hear from him, I'll tell him that you called. And that you made up your mind. Yes. Oh, very soon, Mr. Wallace. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks, Amber Pretzels. We call that the empathetic voodoo doll response. They really oversold the hat in the teaser. Yeah, I was hoping for more hat. Free hat! Free hat!
Help me!
Like, I know that it's like a horrifying situation to be in, but I'm not gonna lie, seeing someone laying on their back in a puddle drowning, like, it's a funny visual, right? Like, that's... Like, I understand he's pinned by the car, but from just that shot, it just looks like he just chooses not to get up. Like, he's just sad. He's just like, no, I'm gonna drown in the mud.
Mrs. Hutchison, this is Mrs. Jansen. Yes, good morning. Has Mr. Jansen come in yet?
Have you seen my hat?
Oh, well, let me speak to Mr. Wesley then, please. George? Will and I had a terrible argument last night, and he stormed out. And I haven't seen or heard from him since. Have you? Oh. Well, I don't know what to think, where he could be. It was a stupid argument, and it was all my fault. But it's
Was
more than
it?
that.
I don't think it was. I know you're worried about him. Well, that wasn't your fault. He's a dick.
The strangest things have been happening.
The twist will be he was a ghost all along. That would be funny if that was just the twist every time, even when it didn't make sense.
To me, I don't know if I'm going out of my mind or what. You know how I always felt I knew what Will was
Turns out
thinking?
her husband was Bruce Willis the whole time.
Well, I keep almost hearing things. I keep feeling that he needs me, that he's calling to me. It's not silly. I know something's wrong. Well, what if he's hurt someplace and he needs someone to help him? Yes, I'll be all right. Yes. All right.
My barbiturates just kicked in. I'm good.
Goodbye.
It was a very sudden, like, she's okay. Oh, okay, I'm fine. I'm done having a breakdown. I'm fine. Never mind. I'm good.
Operator, give me the police. Just listen to me,
Mrs.
please.
Jansen, I have been listening to you, but really, I think you're getting excited over nothing.
I'm not excited. I'm just worried, that's all. He's been missing since midnight.
Well, it's just a little over 10 hours and 40 minutes. Now, that's hardly time enough for you to get so worried, is it?
Ma'am, it is 1959. He is probably out drunk with his secretary. You are in here every week.
Hasn't this ever happened before?
No, he's never done this before.
Look, in my house, this kind of thing would... Mrs. Jansen, if we went looking for every married man, the first time he spent a night on the town, there'd be no time for anything else, now would there?
Jesus Christ. You live in a disgusting society, as do we all.
You can understand that, can't you? I bet he's back at his office right now, or back home, wondering where you are. Now, if you'd like, I'll call him for you.
No.
Lady, of course he's disgusted by you and your filthy fucking hat. Now get out of here. If you were my wife, I'd have to leave you too, is basically what he said. Jesus Christ.
He's not in the office.
No fault divorce really was a godsend. Don't worry, they're gonna take that from you. They're coming. Don't worry, they're gonna take that from you. That's gonna be gone.
His partner knows I'm here. I left a note at home in case he comes back there.
All right, Mrs. Jansen. If you were me, where would you start looking? Don't you see he could be anywhere?
He had an accident in the car.
Yes, you told me. But where? How do you know?
I know. He's hurt?
It is funny that this is a time period from really not that long ago where you just go, you don't know where a person is. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Hope someone sees him. Like nowadays, you know, eventually they're gonna show up somewhere, either using a debit card or a credit card or their phone or something. But yeah, back then you'd just be like, oh shit. I hope someone who knows him happens to see him. Otherwise he's just gone forever.
And he's in danger. Somewhere.
After you telephoned, we checked the hospitals, we checked the morgue, we double-checked the highway patrol and all accidents after midnight. There's a description on your husband and his car. Now, if anything happens...
But it has happened. It happened last night. He's lying somewhere, hurt. I know it. I'm sure.
Mrs. Jansen, now be reasonable, will you? Excuse me. Yes. Oh, Sergeant Cooper. Lab reports on that hit and run. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah?
The sign says something that she's gonna read psychically and be like, go check on him here at whatever farms this is or whatever.
Did you double check? Oh. Yeah, I got it.
Mark.
Yeah, yeah. All right, thanks.
Landmark?
What?
Landmark.
Landmark what?
I don't know. I don't know, but I know that's where he is. I'm sure of it.
Or it's constantly raining. I'm wondering if they're gonna get there and zoom out a little bit and it's not actually just rain. Like, did he hit something that's spraying water on him constantly? And that's supposed to be kind of a clue, too.
All right, Mrs. Jansen, just be calm.
Can't beat him, join him.
I'll look it up for you. Now, here we are. Mrs. Evelyn Landman, Land Maps Incorporated, Landmark Cafe, Landmark Industries.
That's it.
What's it?
Landmark Cafe.
Landmark Cafe. Route 55.
An interesting way to say cafe.
That's 10
Cafe.
or 12 miles out of town. Now, that's a pretty long trip to take for no... Oh, all right, Mrs. Jansen. I'll call him for you. I'll call him. Landmark Cafe. They don't answer. I guess they don't open up this time of the morning. Where are you going?
There's no time!
Oh, brother, I draw the... I'm coming, Mrs. Jansen.
Is he gonna be apologetic at all within the fiction of this story?
Well, at least it stopped raining. You want to tell me about it now, Mrs. Jansen?
What?
Why are you so sure your husband will be at this cafe?
I don't know.
Oh, come on now. What is it really?
Landmark Cafe is home to America's largest water fountain, conveniently placed within the large mud pit.
Waitress that works there, is that it?
Mystery spot! Come see our big mud pit with a man in it! Why didn't you tell us your husband was stuck in a mud pit, you dumb broad? What do you don't even see anything yet. What do you...
There's no one here, Mrs. Jansen. Probably hasn't been anyone near here in weeks. Now, let's get back to the car.
No, I know.
There's no one here,
know.
Mrs. Jansen. Really? That's it.
I know.
Moss lost those. This show really does rely on a lot of women screaming. See, that's when Rod Serling came along and invented the idea of only having people scream when something scary happens. Brilliant stuff.
I'll take you home.
I'm
now.
glad, Phoenix. Glad you like it.
If by the
I
time
like
we
it too.
get there your husband hasn't returned, I'll see that somebody stays with you.
He's gonna see the hat.
When you're on this road, those airplanes seem like they're coming right at you.
Wear hat, wear hat, wear hat. Where's the hat? See the hat. Feel the hat. Cherish the hat. Love the hat.
Anything in this world.
Yes, that was the sound
When
you
you
heard.
get there, you'll find your husband's already there. He's probably got the rest of the police force out looking for you. Mrs. Jansen, don't worry.
Red alert, we have hats.
What are you trying to do? Kill yourself?
Hat. We did it.
Mrs. Jansen.
Will.
Now look. Look, please, will you?
Look at the cops just like, oh fuck, I gotta do my job now. Oh shit. I thought I was blowing off my duties today by just driving this crazy lady over here. Fuck. I have to actually work. How far off the road did he go? A decent bit and into a pit. I see why he wouldn't have been seen, based on the geography of this.
His legs are caught onto the car. Huh? Stay with him. I'll send for an ambulance.
Alright, you stay here. Go use the radio. Immediately accuses her of having an affair with the cop. Pushes him back in the pit. And then the cop falls into the pit. They all fell into the pit. I fell into the pit. We all fell into the pit.
How? How indeed? How did Carol know? Another, an incredible other kind of human communication. If you must have a word for it, it's called telepathy. And what is telepathy? You're not gonna trap me.
What? And the writing on these. It's funny that it's like very similar in format to the Twilight Zone, but the writing just isn't there. I'm not saying it's unwatchable or anything, but there's a reason we remember the Twilight Zone and not this as well. You know what I mean? It's a certainly watchable show, especially at the time, I would imagine. But like, it's fine. But man, it's just not the Twilight Zone, you know? And I'm not saying that like as a mean thing. I'm not like, oh, fuck these guys for not being one of the best television writers of the 20th century. Most people weren't. Just interesting when you see a product that's like, or a piece of art that's attempting something similar, but like it just isn't that higher level. These are supposedly true stories, so the writers were limited. They say that, but it's not. They pulled stuff from completely fictional short stories all the time. That's a gimmick. To be clear, when they say that and they're like, these stories are true, the writers were not bound by that. They just called every story they did true. They were absolutely adapting short stories that were never anything but fiction. That's a lie. I don't know how to put this. Like, obviously, TV and movies still lie to their audience, but, like, back then, it was an even bigger thing, where they'd just make shit up and just say it. Like, not true.
The amazing drama
I have no idea
you're about to see
about Pol Pot.
is a matter of human record.
Just personally.
You
And
may
I don't know anyone streaming about it.
believe it or not. But the real people who lived this story, they believe it. They know. They took that one step beyond.
You're disappointed the show didn't show her asshole husband doing a complete turnaround and being nice now? Again, that's more up Twilight Zone's alley. Twilight Zone was very much about the morality tale. Twilight Zone is very much about the metaphorical becoming literal and people getting their comeuppance in sort of dramatically ironic ways. Usually. Not always, but usually. One Step Beyond is just like, isn't this weird? Like, it doesn't really have a thesis statement other than, weird things happen, huh? Watch our soap commercials. Twilight Zone had a much stronger thematic through line in the episodes and throughout the series, in fact. But yeah, you know. Serling was a great writer. He's incredible. Looks like almost every episode was written by the same few people. They must have been rushing the scripts out the door, yeah. It's perfectly serviceable for a 1950s weekly TV show where they're just trying to, you know, fill up time to sell commercial spots. It's content. This is peak 1950s TV content.
Right here! I stop!
And yes, Twilight Zone was quite progressive for its time. Hey, buddy! Calm down. Yeah, you're okay. You're okay, sweetie. I know, I'm in a dinosaur costume. No.
It was no hallucination.
Hallucination. According to Webster, noun, illusion, apparent perception of an external object.
Like Outer Limits, too. Outer Limits is better than this. And I have the original Outer Limits and the original Twilight Zone and all the Twilight Zone remakes. None of the Outer Limits, unfortunately, remakes. The 90s one is great. I really wish they'd come out with that on Blu-ray. But I would put Outer Limits ahead of this in terms of quality. I'm not trying to shit on this show. I'm just taking in terms of time and thought that was probably put into the scripts and the production value overall. It probably goes one step beyond Outer Limits, Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone's your S tier. Outer Limits is A tier. It's not as good as Twilight Zone, maybe not quite as thoughtful, but it's got some solid sci-fi concepts.
Not actually present. That's what the dictionary says. But inside that room, that well-ordered definition just won't do.
Sometimes repeating over and over again what we think we have seen.
You want to hear it again?
Is the guy on the right in I Dream a Genie at all? He looks kind of familiar. Hey, buddy! Wanna come over here? Wanna come say hi? Come on. Come on. Come on. Buddy. Kitty boy. Kitty boy. Kitty boy. Kitty boy. And kitty boy. Who are you? Do you have anything to say, boy? Speak into the microphone clearly and decisively with your best diction or whatever.
You just tell me you want to hear it again. You want to hear it 1,000 times. I'll tell it to you 1,000 times. But when do we stop?
When that which cannot be is removed from that which was.
Okay, Doctor. Same story. 6 weeks ago, I was released from a sanitarium for chronic alcoholism. I went to Nevada to find my wife. She was getting a divorce.
The Chrysler building was painted out of a backdrop because the sponsor was a different car company. You want to hear something worse? Rod Serling started the Twilight Zone because he felt the need to... It's kind of hard to say, I guess, what was really internal and what was external. Externally, he told people he wanted to get out of writing serious topics and do sci-fi because it's more frivolous, and he's tired of advertisers censoring him. Now, obviously, that's kind of funny to hear today because, well, not every episode of The Twilight Zone deals with some sort of social or political issue. Many of them, in fact, a great deal of the most popular episodes of The Twilight Zone do deal with social and political issues. So on the one level, you could argue maybe he really was trying to get away from political stuff, but ended up back at it, because that's just kind of how he thought and how he wrote, and no matter what he had to. Or he was using the sci-fi veneer as a cover to trick stupid advertisers into letting him give progressive messaging without them censoring it. But the thing that got him so upset with censorship was he did a TV movie about the Nuremberg trials, which are the trials of heads of the Nazi Party and orchestrators of the Holocaust after World War II. And in that special, he ended up being disallowed from writing about gas chambers. Do you know why Rod Serling wasn't allowed to talk about gas chambers in his dramatic retelling of Holocaust trials? Because the sponsor for the movie was a gas company, was a natural gas company. So anyway, that was really the final straw, as it were, with him developing a huge hatred for sponsors and censorship. Don't blame him. We got one of the best TV shows of all time because of it, so. They couldn't have used the word Zyklon B. They could have used the word Zyklon B, I guess. But, like, restricting it for marketing reasons is on the face of it disgusting, so it doesn't matter. I'm gonna be honest, it's a little bit how I feel today. I mean, we're talking about very different topics. I'm not talking about a genocide, so we're talking about different things. But, like, I feel very similarly about advertisers and the ridiculous standards when we're forced, for instance, on YouTube because of their guidelines developed to please advertisers. If we're talking about serious topics as adults, I'm over 30 years old. But if I want to talk about a serious topic, I have to use terms like unaliving or bang bang or like all sorts of immature baby talk bullshit to talk about serious topics because they want to sell you Coca-Cola. And if I'm talking about suicide or gun violence, well, you might not be as receptive to the Coca-Cola ads, you know? And that's obviously a problem for them. So anyway, that shit just pisses me off and disgusts me, and it makes me feel like we're dumbing down, collectively, our societal discussions about serious issues because it makes it more difficult to sell you Coke. And that just annoys the fuck out of me. The guy on the right was in trouble with tribbles. I'll have to check him out again when he gets back on screen, because it wasn't this guy.
Dad. Wow. It's been a while, son. You know something, son? I missed you.
Me too. But Ma said it'd be better if we didn't.
Well, this kid was in Twilight Zone. I believe he was in the episode Long Distance Phone Call. Maybe that was a different kid. This kid in the Twilight Zone, he looks like it. Or maybe he just looks like one of the kids from the Twilight Zone. He kind of looks like the Long Distance Call kid. And maybe the Nice Place to Visit kid.
bother you.
Are there any Twilight Zone episodes that haven't aged well? I'd have to go through and really look at them. There are some that have aged brilliantly. Like He's Alive. One of my favorite episodes has aged just like fine wine or cheese, unfortunately. Any gone really badly. Let me look at a list. Because there are some that aren't, like, very good, right? Like, there are ones... Ah, buddy! Like, I don't like Mr. Dingle the Strong as an episode very much, but it's not aged badly in the way you're talking about. I assume you're basically meaning, are there things that are problematic that weren't at the time, or maybe were even progressive at the time, but have, like, you know, not so progressive with how time works? He was very progressive, but you can be progressive in your time and still not progressive by a future standard. I'll have to look. Roha, thanks for 40 months. Buddy, hey, never know, okay? I would argue there is one called The Lonely, and I use this as an example as to how our cultural ideas around personhood have developed a little bit. So there's this episode of the original Twilight Zone called The Lonely, and it's this guy who was sentenced. I don't know if we ever find out what crime he allegedly committed, but he's sentenced to isolation on an asteroid. It's like a sci-fi future, and basically he gets placed on an asteroid in deep space alone, with a little like house, and he's just on this asteroid alone the whole time. Solitary confinement, basically. Then at one of the supply trips, the supply guy leaves him a robot, a lady robot. They use the term robot, though. They use the hilarious 50s pronunciation of robot. Robot. So throughout the course of that story, he gets to know the robot. They seemingly fall in love. He loves this woman, this robot, who he knows is a robot, but nonetheless sees as a human being with thoughts and feelings and dreams. And if you're familiar with sci-fi, you're probably going, oh yeah, this is the typical learns that, you know, a human doesn't necessarily have to be flesh and blood. This is the sci-fi falls in love with a robot story, and he learns that you can find humanity even outside of humans. You know, typical sci-fi trope. Except the episode goes on, and it gets to the end, and his sentence has been commuted, and the moral is not, oh, you can find humanity and companionship in unexpected places. It is, don't delusionally start to anthropomorphize robots, because at the end of it, he's not allowed to bring the robot with him to go home to Earth to escape, like, the planet after his sentence has been commuted. He has to murder the robot lady, or the lady is murdered to show, oh, look, she's just a robot. They smash her face open and it's full of circuits. And he's like, jumps out of it and it's like, oh my god, I fell in love with a robot. Thanks for saving me from thinking robots could be alive. And that's the end. So it's just interesting. It's not like problematic necessarily. It's just the opposite of the moral of every other piece of sci-fi involving sentient, sapient robots. Even from the Twilight Zone, frankly, after that. It's pretty funny. Because you're so primed in our, like, world of sci-fi and where the tropes are and characters like Lieutenant Commander Data, stuff like that throughout pop culture our whole lives. And then you watch this one from the 50s and it's like, no, you stupid idiot. It doesn't matter if it has feelings. It's made of circuits, you fucking moron. It just has a quite funny view of that. But yeah, there's probably stuff that's problematic, but that's the one that I just think of as a funny moral that is not in line with our current general societal beliefs about things like that.
Well,
at least not the general consensus within fiction, within sci-fi.
Right, she's right. That's no place to go visiting people. How is she?
She's okay.
Hey, what's the matter, huh?
Nothing.
Oh. Well, I'm not...
Did she have a robussy? It's implied she had a robussy.
Drunk, if that's what you're wondering.
Dad.
That was it, wasn't it? She told you to find out.
When you say No, move on. Move on, Hannah!
Well, now, that's nothing for you to be ashamed of. She's absolutely right. She shouldn't see me unless she makes sure. You're never going to have to worry about that again, Steve. Do you believe me?
Sure I do.
Thanks, Steve. Now let's go see if we can convince your mother.
I hope she believes you.
I hope so, too.
Okay, the question I was going to ask is, when you say robussy, where is the divider in that portmanteau? Are you asking if she has a robussy or like a robe-ussy? Because there's a difference between robots-bussy versus robe-ussy. Do you see my conundrum here? And what my question was? Are you asking if she has a robe-bussy or a robe-ussy? It's a Spider-Man spider-man problem.
Helen.
Hello, Carl. Put this out in the station wagon, will you, Steve?
You still going?
Mm-hmm.
Dad, too?
Well, you run along now, huh?
Steve. See you later.
We never see the robot's genitals. Sadly, we never see the robot's genitals. So, we don't know. Okay, serious answer though. It is implied probably that the robot is anatomically correct. Oh, are you in the box? He found a box.
How'd you
He's
like
in the
flowers?
box.
They're lovely. It's a much bigger bouquet than last time.
Hope he doesn't pee in this one.
I see you didn't care much for the note either.
Oh, he went to
I
the
read every
actual
word
litter
of it.
box. He was gonna poop in
You
it, probably.
always
That's
do.
funny.
You were always sweet and thoughtful, Carl.
Except when I was drunk and looking for somebody to punch.
Oh, Jesus.
I just can't help it anymore. I used to be able to forget, but now I can't. Why did you come all the way out here? The answer is no. No.
Petition
Carl,
denied,
no.
Mossloth? Petition
See, all the
denied.
other times you were away, I used to be able to think of you the way you were when we first got married. The good times. But this last time, all I could see was you drunk and shouting and fighting and those two policemen, the way they looked at me. Carl, I've just forgiven and forgotten so many times that it's just all gone out of me. The forgiving and the forgetting. I can't, that's all, no.
Helen, I don't want you to forget.
Carl, what you're doing is not fair to any of us. You're upsetting Stevie and...
Listen to me, Helen. I want you to remember. We've both got to remember just how terrible it was. Because that's what's going to keep it from happening again.
I can't go through this again, Carl. I just can't.
It sounded like she said, "I won't go through this again, girl," as if she was referring to him as girl, which is a little funny. I'm confused what's happening. Did I miss something? Or is this yet to be revealed? I was talking about a robussy, so I was busy. I was busy talking about that robussy. Carl, not girl. He's an abusive drunk.
Why did you have to come out here? Why couldn't you just leave us alone?
I gotcha. He's trying to make amends, and she's like, "Go away, you piece of shit." Gotcha.
Helen, you remember where they put me the last time? It was pretty awful. I was never so scared my whole life. Not even when I was a little kid. Oh, I hated you for letting them put me there.
Well, what was I supposed to have done?
I hated you at first. But I'm grateful now. You gave me a lot of time to think.
So they have until the 29th, Jay's a proxy. I know there's a certain day in January that's the last day they're supposed to give you that stuff. I don't remember.
And when I got out,
He was institutional.
I realized that I'd never take another drink as long as I lived.
But how do you know?
Because now I know what made me drink. It was fear.
Fear? Of what? You had a wonderful job.
Easier to involuntarily commit someone back then. Yeah, I feel like we need to find a happy medium between that and what we're doing now. Because I think it's pretty fair to say we've gone too far in the other direction. Did you see the guy who did the what the heck was it? the pizza place in DC, Comet Ping Pong, that was the setting of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory bullshit. You know, the guy that went in there with his guns years ago and tried to, like, quote, save the children from the secret basement of the pizza parlor. There were no children. The pizza parlor doesn't have a basement, much like the Alamo. Anyway, that guy got to leave after that, I guess, and it's been years, and now he got in another confrontation with the police and got shot, because he also had a gun there, because apparently in America, you can go to a pizza parlor and delusionally wave a gun at people and tell them, where are the kids in the secret basement? And then you get to leave and keep all your guns to later get in a shootout with the police like 3 years later. You can just do that? You can just, like, go into a place and be like, I'm crazy, I have a gun! I'm going to kill all of you if you don't show me the secret kid dungeon. And then you get to leave and you get to keep owning that gun, I guess? So, that's interesting. He's dead now. He's dead now, because he did get in another issue and a shootout with the police, but, like, kind of feels like that one shouldn't have happened, right? Should have probably taken his guns after the first time he broke into a random place and crazily was demanding they release children that didn't exist from their non-existent sex dungeon. Might have been a red flag to not let that man own weapons. But anyway.
Steve.
Let me guess, he's a white guy? Yeah, he's a white guy.
You knew how much I loved you.
And I was afraid that I wasn't good enough for you. That doesn't make much sense, I guess. How can I make you understand? Well, I drank to forget the fear.
This guy took over as narrator for the 80s Twilight Zone, so weird connection there. Oh, the guy on screen? Really? I never liked the 80s Twilight Zone narration. No offense to the guy. It's just so hard to follow up on Rod Serling.
When I was drinking, I really wasn't good enough for you.
The only one I think has even gotten close in terms of the narration being worth it is Jordan Peele. And a lot of the episodes of that show are not good. But the introductions and outros aren't too bad. Some of the episodes are great. The Jordan Peele Twilight Zone gets a bad reputation, but there are some really great episodes in there. Fortunately, a lot of stinkers, too.
Well, the fear got worse. I drank some more. And I lost my job. I hated myself for that. And I drank some more. Hated myself some more. And all the time I was afraid. But I'm not afraid anymore.
Sorry, he was attacking my socks.
Take me back, Helen.
A stalker killed a woman in a children's museum in Iowa a few years back. She had a restraining order against him, but you need basically no paperwork to buy a handgun in Iowa.
You're always
Jesus.
such a good salesman.
What are we doing?
You make it sound so right.
It is right.
Yeah, they found the husband in the last episode and just kind of ended.
I want to think about it. I'm not here. When I'm with you, whatever you say seems
Yeah,
right.
I really didn't like Lawrence Fishburne. In fairness, the 2000 series is the worst one. I just got to put out there, I think the 2000s Twilight Zone that ran like one season is the worst one. I have it, though. I have every episode of Twilight Zone on Blu-ray or DVD. They never released the 2000 series on DVD. Or on Blu-ray.
I'm glad I still have that effect on you.
I promised Stevie I'd take him sightseeing this
Forrest
afternoon.
Whitaker.
Can I go with you?
No, we'll be back before supper.
Here's the DVD for that. Forrest Whitaker on
Why are
the...
you deciding?
It's supposed to be him.
Would you wear this?
I'll never put that ring on again, Carl, unless I mean it.
If it is no, I promise I won't argue.
Thanks, Carl.
I Am the Collector. This is actually one I'm pretty proud of, because, like, this is out of print. This has been out of print since... What year did this come out? I think they only did one run of this. See what year this came out, and that'll tell you how many years since they've actually printed this. It doesn't say on here. 2003. 2003. So this has been out of print for about 20 years. I had to get this one on eBay some years ago Because I had owned every single other Twilight Zone episode I owned, except for the 2000s one. And I ended up having to get this on eBay. Was it worth it? I don't know. But I have it, and that feels pretty good, so...
In case it is now, I want you to remember this.
The one episode I would recommend from the 2000 series, if you've not seen it, it's available on YouTube. I think most of these episodes are available on YouTube. There's a sequel to the original Twilight Zone series episode, It's a Good Life. The one about the kid who's in control of the small town, sends people to the cornfield. There's a sequel to that episode, where Cloris Leachman plays his mother. And they got the same kid actor back as an adult. That's the one episode I would recommend from the 2000s Twilight Zone. The rest are probably skippable. I'm not saying you should never watch it. They're just, you know, not great.
Love you.
You saw that episode, so you always figured the town didn't survive Anthony's puberty. Yeah, that's shocking. In the sequel episode, he has a daughter, which has unfortunate implications, obviously.
What's the matter, Steve?
Nothing.
You don't sound like nothing's the matter.
It's not your fault, Mom,
What is it?
that I don't enjoy anything as much as I did when... No, I don't know.
When what?
When I was a little kid, I guess.
Now, that's not what you meant, is it? You mean that nothing's as much fun without your father? Isn't that what you're trying to tell me? Maybe I feel the same way.
Maybe.
Maybe.
When are you going to decide?
I don't know.
Why not?
Because it isn't that easy.
It is to me. You want to, don't you?
Oh, yes, I want to. But, I thought we came out here to look at a silver mine. Wasn't that the general idea? Come on. Hey, wait a minute. You're going to need your flashlight.
Just exploring in an old mine? Why did everyone have the most dangerous hobbies in the 50s? Hey kids, you want to go explore the old mine, or you want to play a round of lawn darts? Want to go explore the dried out well? I think there's a tour of the asbestos factory we could be going to today.
You better carry this, honey. Stevie? Stevie?
I'm over here, Mom!
Oh, you scared me half to death.
I'm sorry. Look down there. I wonder how deep it is.
Got a piece of paper?
Piece of paper's no good. Use a rock.
Days of Proxy says only a few kids died from lawn darts, I think, or that's what at least got the attention of banning it. Is it illegal to sell them or what? Because when I was a kid in Florida and visited my grandparents, this was the early 2000s. This was at the Villages, which is a large retirement community in Florida. It's like the biggest retirement community in Florida. And anyway, they had lawn darts in an area for the seniors, because I assume those seniors grew up in a time where lawn darts were a thing when they were kids. But, like, can you sell lawn darts? Where did they get the lawn darts at the Villages? Because they had them 20 years ago, and I'm pretty sure those got banned back in the 70s or 80s. So, like, I don't know, but anyway, they had lawn darts for the old people. They're probably fine, maybe. They're Floridians, so, like, closer to a child than the rest of the continental United States, probably, but they're fine.
There's water down there.
Metal tips. They were, like, full... This is the first and last time I've ever seen a lawn dart in person. Like, they were full metal. It was just a weighted spear, basically, that you threw, and it just came straight down with the point down. Horrifying. Even as a child in the early 2000s, I saw lawn darts and went, oh yeah, I get why these are banned. This is a bad call to make these.
I guess that's why they abandoned the mine.
They're basically just throwing murder spikes. You just throw them and they land right with the spike down no matter what.
I don't know.
Dad would.
Will you give a lady a little time?
Haven't you had enough time?
Yes.
Amazing Stories is great. Yeah. I love
Let's go
Amazing
back
Stories too. I have that on DVD as well.
Tell him.
No, not right now. Run on.
There's my Amazing Stories set. This is from Umbrella. Have I mentioned I love Anthology series? They're really great. And not even just sci-fi. Like, this isn't necessarily sci-fi. It's all sorts of stuff. Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tale Theater. The Storyteller Greek Mythology. There's some really great anthology series out there. Monsters is great. Some slightly lesser known, but anthology series I really like. As was mentioned, Monsters. This is also a set from Umbrella. It comes from Australia. I think that's the only place you can get a set right now, because it's out of print everywhere else. There's Monsters. And then also, Steven Spiel... Oh no, this isn't Amazing Stories. I just showed Amazing Stories. Amazing Stories is great. Produced by Steven Spielberg and has really great stuff in it. This is based off of Ray Bradbury's works, though. These were all based off Ray Bradbury stories. Many of his short stories. Ray Bradbury Theater, and it's got really great guest stars. You have Jeff Goldblum, you have William Shatner, all sorts of people showing up throughout this series. I'd highly recommend it if you haven't seen Ray Bradbury Theater. Quite good. Oh, I like Roald Dahl's Tales of the Unexpected is quite good too. I like it might even be the first episode where the guy is doing the gambling with the finger cutting off thing. That's got a fun twist ending. Tales from the Dark Side's great. I also have Tales from the Dark Side. Tales from the Dark Side is basically a creep show series because it was made by the same people that did the theatrical Creep Show, but they couldn't get the rights, unfortunately, to the name Creep Show for the series, so they just did it anyway and called it Tales from the Dark Side. So if you're a fan of Creep Show, watch Tales from the Dark Side. It's basically a Creep Show anthology series from the 80s, which of course, nowadays, there's an actual Creep Show anthology series on Shudder, which is also very good, and I would recommend. I also have that on Blu-ray. We did it. Yeah. Dark Side. Tales from the Dark Side. Doon, doon,
Huh?
doon.
Helen! Oh, Helen. What happened?
He's trapped.
Oh, where's Stevie?
He's trapped.
Where?
He's trapped.
Where?
He's trapped in the mine.
Oh,
Hurry.
Thanks, Jason Proxy, for letting me know.
Hurry.
I can't believe our child got collapsed into a mine in the old mine shaft.
Hurry. There. He's underneath. No.
Have I ever done a Desert Island DVD Blu-ray set? No. It would have to have Blue Lagoon, because I don't know why. That's the first one that comes to mind for me, is Blue Lagoon. Are we talking TV shows too? Gilligan's Island and the Gilligan's Island TV movies, up to and including Meet the Globetrotters. Castaway, a lot of them. Could maybe argue Swiss Army Man, depending on how literal you're gonna get with the island thing. Swiss Army Man's pretty good. Pretty sure the Duplass brothers did that, the same people that did Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Hurry! Hurry!
Try and get some help, Ellen. Please try and get some help.
This isn't the only time in this show that revolved around someone getting trapped in a mine. The episode you saw years ago was about a guy trapped in a mine. Of course it was. All the stories from this are supposed to be true. People were getting trapped in mines every other week back in the day. There was nothing to do. They wouldn't invent cable for another 15 years. So there were very few tits on television. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go to a mine. You're gonna look for rocks that hopefully look like boobs. That's life in the 50s for you.
Steve, boy, you in there, boy? Steve.
Lady! Lady? Lady! Where are you?
See? Right here! Where's the trouble?
The problem is all these kids keep getting trapped in mines because they keep hearing it's made for miners.
Where's the trouble? Right here, my boy's in there.
I'll be here all week.
Someplace he's in here. Steve.
Illis Filler with 40 bits says to the DuckTales theme, Boob rocks, doo-doo. Did you do that because of the Nostalgia Critic Duck Tits joke? Did we just knock off the Nostalgia Critic? Oh, God.
Watch it.
Take it easy.
Watch it. I see him.
Good God. Can you get through?
I got him, Chuck.
Duck Tits, woo!
Is he alive?
Ain't saying Zine, how's it going? You haven't watched Nostalgia Critic? Good for you. I watched Nostalgia Critic once, and it accidentally trapped me in a never-ending nightmare where I have to produce content for the internet for a living. Like a curse that you pass on. You too one day will make a fool of yourself on the internet for money. Circle of life.
Watch. Go get him up here. I'll take him.
I got him.
Watch.
Let him through.
Pardon me.
Help him through.
Where's he?
Here.
Get him. Do this. Go see him. Stevie. Go get him.
Mom!
What's the matter?
What's the matter? Let it go! Let it go! Hey! Mister!
You all right?
Hey, mister! Hey! Hey! Hey, mister!
What? I feel like this is a harder show to follow than the Twilight Zone. Like, am I crazy? And I know I'm also talking in fairness, so I'm probably missing a lot of important stuff, but that's on me. I recognize that. But what the fuck is happening? That was a good scream. That was a good scream for a man in the 50s. They didn't show guys screaming a lot. That's pretty good.
Well, that's it. That's it.
Not quite. Your wife died instantly when that mind collapsed, Mr. Archer.
Okay.
That's a medical fact.
Go ahead, state the other medical fact. Tell me I'm out of my mind.
There's nothing wrong with your mind. But there are certain facts
Mark
you have
Patton
to
is
face.
a good screamer. He really was.
For instance, do you have any idea how your wife got from the mine to the motel?
I gotta put this out there. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is incredibly underrated, and I think a lot of it has to do with there are, like, homosexual themes within it. Like, it's a pretty overtly, like, gay film. And I think a lot of the people, especially in the 80s when it came out, were like, ew, why is this so gay? And that's unfortunate. So if you've heard bad things about Nightmare on Elm Street 2, watch it. I'd recommend it. It's a lot different than the other movies in the series. It doesn't quite fit. The rules of how Freddy works are quite a bit different. But, like, just as its own thing, take it as a sequel to the first one. It's pretty good.
Her station wagon.
Except I have to really retcon the end in my head to make it not incredibly homophobic, because accidentally, or maybe on purpose, the theme of that movie basically ends up being conversion therapy good. The rest of the movie's so good up until that point. Right said Rob, thanks for gifting a sub.
Wagon never left that mine.
I basically have to pretend that the kiss at the end is a sign of platonic love between friends. It's like, that's not what they meant. That's not what they meant at all.
You know that, don't
The power of heterosexual love will save you from your gay knife-fingered demons. That's what they mean, unfortunately.
you? It was an extremely hot day. You were fatigued from the long drive, and you were under considerable emotional stress. Now, isn't that true? Isn't that true?
Yes, yes.
Your wife was gone longer than you thought she would be. You were worried that perhaps she would never come back, so you invented reasons why she was gone.
I saw! She was standing right here!
All right, come on.
So why is every other twist in this show that someone was dead earlier than you thought they were? They're a ghost! Like, this is this is like one episode divorced from that already being the twist. It wasn't in the last one, but it was before that.
You saw what you wished to see. You have to believe.
Why is that bird scene in Nightmare 2 so odd? Why is that there? I think it's supposed to sort of accentuate the rising tensions within the household. Everyone's sweaty and it's loud and sort of hectic. It's anarchic almost. This, like, typical suburban family, which everyone has dysfunction, is really spiraling out of control. The temperature in the house is reaching a breaking point. So literally at the end of that scene, the bird that's kind of all over the place and there's pandemonium bursts into flame. That's sort of like the apex. That's the moment where we've crossed into the heat and the impending, like, doom and anxiety has reached an apex where, like, shit has gotten real. At least that's how I read it.
That. The mirage is quite real to the man who's
It's supposed to
dying
show tensions increasing and reaching like a breaking point.
of thirst, you know.
Too artsy. It's a bird on a string that they swung around and set on fire. It's not Ingmar Bergman. They lit a bird on fire. I don't know.
I didn't wish for
Prop
that
bird. They lit a prop bird on fire.
mine to cave in. How could I have known about that?
Well, out of the thousands of wild hunches that people get for one reason or another, some are bound to be accurate.
No, he wouldn't believe me if I was.
Mr. Archer, as a doctor, I also have certain facts to face. Among them, that I'm dealing with a man who has a record of chronic alcoholism.
I knew you'd get around to that.
Yes, if that will help you to understand. Now, you were recently released from an alcoholic sanitarium.
I told you that.
One of the most common symptoms of the seriously ill victim of alcoholism
is hallucinations.
Well, be honest, Mr. Archer. In the past, haven't you had hallucinations?
Yes, but this is different.
Look, Archer. It would be the simplest thing in the world for
Have I
me
ever
to let
listened
you...
to old radio plays? I've listened to some of the Twilight Zone radio plays because they came with the Blu-ray set, and those are pretty good.
hang on to this fantasy of yours.
Alcohol isn't a hallucinogen, is it? Not in typical doses, but I think the two exceptions are either on extremely insanely high doses or severe alcohol withdrawals, I believe, can also lead to hallucinations. Even in my, like, deepest alcoholism, I never experienced any of that. But I have heard it.
Some people might even say it was good medicine. And maybe it would be, for a while. But in the end, if you really came to believe it, if it became, as it could, one of the most important things in your life...
The Sherlock Holmes radio plays are quite good. Oh, I like the format. Like, there are modern stuff that, through podcast, take a almost radio play form that are really great. Like, the Spotify has done a few Batman stories in sort of a radio play format. They've been excellent. I really like the Big Finish stuff. The Doctor Who Big Finish stuff. And that's radio play. I've just not seen a lot of old ones. I've more seen the newer ones from 2000s and later with Big Finish.
Very sick man. And later on, if you had to give it up, if your very sanity depended on it, well...
There's a show called Suspense that I would like. It's an anthology series that had a ton of famous people of the 40s through the 60s. Radio version of a Twilight Zone type thing. I'll have to check it out. Twilight Zone did have a radio show, too. They took their episodes of the Twilight Zone and adapted them into radio plays. So those also exist, and I think a lot of them are available on YouTube. So if you're ever like, oh, I kind of feel like this is a fun thing to do, if you're the kind of person like me who likes the Twilight Zone, I guess this is a fun thing to do. You know, a lot of the Twilight Zone stuff is quite visual, and I've seen the Twilight Zone a million times anyway. But, like, if you want to play a game or something and just kind of want to listen to a podcast, you can watch one of the Twilight Zone radio plays, and it's like watching one of the episodes, but you're just listening to it, and they will verbally more so explain what's going on in the plot when they have to, because it's adapted for radio. And it's interesting. It's an interesting way to see some of the episodes in a way you haven't before, because they're the same episodes as the televised episodes. They've just been altered slightly for radio.
Just believe me when I say it's a lot easier to give it up now. You've got a son, Mr. Archer. He's been waiting outside there for a couple of hours, waiting for his father. Because now that's all he's got to hold on to, for all the years ahead when he needs somebody strong. And you're gonna fail him. If you're a neurotic who has to hang on to a mirage for a crutch.
Yeah, son lived, wife died. What episode are we on? 5, I think? 5 or 6?
I'm sorry I had to say it that way.
Yeah, we're on 5. No, 6, sorry.
Is it all right if I go home right away now?
Yeah, of course. Look, it's not going to be easy for you. When you have a bad night, I want you to take one of these.
I thought you didn't like crutches.
They're all right if they wear off in a couple of hours.
Well, thanks, sir.
You know, I don't have all the answers, not by a long shot, but I hope I've helped a little.
I guess so. How much do I owe you?
Nothing. Oh, this is on the house. Come in.
How you feeling? On my way to work, I thought I'd drop by and say howdy and see how you were getting along.
Well, hello, how are you?
Fine.
I didn't get a chance to thank you last night. This is one of the men who helped pull Stevie out of the mine. I don't even know your name.
Sam Harrison. Jim and I both are very glad we could be of help.
I can't tell you how grateful I am. How the two of you ever happened to be there when I needed you at the mine, I'll never know.
Mr. Archer, when we heard those screams, we couldn't get there fast enough.
What screams?
Screams, plural. Ghost is alive. Fact.
Well, Jim says now that it must have been the wind hitting the telephone wires. That's all it could have been.
What did you think it was?
I guess I'll go along with Jim.
What did you think it was? What did you really think it was?
It wasn't the wind. It was a woman screaming for help.
You're bracing. You hate that you're bracing for racism. It is from 1959, so I understand the thought. Luckily, it seems like they're not going anywhere bad with it, so that's good.
Guess I better be getting along now. Jim's waiting on the truck. That's a fine boy you've got, Mr. Archer. Good luck to you.
Like, in fact, they are using him as proof that the supernatural thing happened, meaning as the audience, you are meant to trust his words, which is surprising to me for, again, a television episode from 1959.
That's the both of you.
And he's not like a stereotype, he's just like a guy who happened to be there doing his job. So points for that.
I don't think I'll need these.
Twilight Zone was even more progressive. The Twilight Zone was insanely progressive for the time. In the best way. Rod Serling. If you've never heard Rod Serling talk about social issues of his day, I'd recommend it. The guy was awesome.
Wind in the wires? Illusion? Hallucination? Certainly you have your own very personal explanation or rejection. But is it possible that love knows no boundaries? Not even death? That sometimes a loving hand, beyond life itself, can reach out to shield the living? Is it possible? In a moment, something about next week. Doesn't look much like a weapon of war, does it? It is, though. This, pitchforks, bird guns, all sorts of things were used by England's Home Guard as they faced the threat of Nazi invasion after Dunkirk. There was another weapon, too. Psychic power. Very potent. Next week, we'll show you how it worked.
I don't know, not as tantalizing as the Hat episode. Let me actually see if there's any interesting Rod Serling clips or anything to look at. Because he really is just an interesting guy from his era. Oh yeah, he did Patterns. I've never watched Patterns. That's his TV movie about age discrimination in the workplace. Alted Undying says, "Hey Hannah, I hope you enjoy this. I thought you might like it." Oh yeah. Elven deities. Goddess of the depths. Very cool. I like all the symbols and stuff. Thanks for sharing it. Let's see, where is... Yeah, this is from 1959. So this would have been the same year he started Twilight Zone. This might be an interview right before it starts up.
Another television interview in our gallery of colorful people. In television drama, few
names... Which is ironic, because this gentleman often appears in black and white.
Names have the prestige of that of our guest. Rod Serling is the only writer to have won 3 Emmy Awards for Requiem for a Heavyweight, Patterns, The Comedian. We'll talk to him about censorship in television, his fight to say what he believes, and we'll learn what he means by the price tag that hangs on success. Way back in 1951, when television was just a baby, a young man sat in a Cincinnati diner with his wife and came to a momentous decision. He decided to give up the security of his job and take a chance in becoming a freelance television writer.
Yeah, it's funny. He started in radio, I think. And it was considered a risk to move over to television at the time because television was a young medium, you know? Imagine, like, let me give you an example of what a comparison would be. Rod Serling jumping from radio to television, jumping from his stable radio job to television, would be like the early 2000s equivalent of someone with a pretty solid job in show business quitting it and starting a YouTube channel. Like, that's effectively what Rod Serling did, was he left a quite well-respected medium where he had a solid job and was respected, and jumped into the day's equivalent of YouTube. Like, people did not take television seriously at the time at all. Oh, buddy, don't bite me.
Rod, first of all, let me ask you this. What was it that brought that decision about? Was it a burning desire to write because you felt that you had to say something, or was it just a way to make more money?
A combination of many things, Mike. The immediate motive at the time, the prodding thing that pushed me into it, was that I'd been writing for a Cincinnati television station as a staff writer, which is a particularly dreamless occupation, composed of doing commercials, even making up,
Hey, buddy, don't bite me on my desk, please. If you bite me. He's offended. He's offended I'm touching him. Alright. We'll leave you be, buddy.
letters of, what do they call it? To plug a product. Somebody has used it.
Testimonial?
Testimonial letters. As I recall, there was a drug, a liquid drug on the market at the time that could cure everything from arthritis to a fractured pelvis. And I actually had to write testimonial letters. And on that particular day, I just had it. And though I had been freelancing concurrent with the staff job,
wait, he was writing the fake testimonials for the products?
Which is hardly even grocery money. Yeah. And that one night, we just decided to, sink or swim and go into it.
So you came here to New York?
Not immediately. We stayed on 6 months, I guess, in Ohio, and came to New York.
Did Rod ever actually say picture, if you will, or is that one of the false quotes like, beam me up, Scotty? I'd have to, like, Control F all of his monologues. I don't know off the top of my head. He did so many ways of, like, referencing it. Sometimes he'd do, like, submitted for your approval, which actually got picked up by, Are You Afraid of the Dark as an homage to the Twilight Zone. If you've wondered why in Are You Afraid of the Dark they say, submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. The reference to Rod Serling's submitted for your approval.
Principally in Lux Video Theater, then live and half-hour emanating from New York. I did 11 shows for them, and I was sort of on my way from that point on.
And what kind of stuff did you write? Because you said that it wasn't just the money, it was something that you wanted to say, that you weren't getting a chance to say in Cincinnati.
Well, in those days, Lux Video, as one show, was doing reasonably adult stuff. These, of course, were not Playhouse 90s, nor were they award-winning shows, but they were reasonably mature things that even today stand up pretty well. And I was doing Lux Video, craft theater, the early so-called pioneer days of television, which of course are hardly pioneer, but anything over 8 years old is pioneer style in television.
You've come a long way since those early days, and perhaps more than any other writer, your name has figured in the classic battle of the, that is, television writer, the battle of the writer to be his own man. What happens when a writer like yourself writes something that he really believes in? For television.
I'm not sure I understand the question, Mike. What happens, you mean, in terms of...
Well, we hear a lot about censorship of the writer on TV. We've heard a good deal about it in your own case especially.
Well, depending, of course, on the thematic treatment you're using, if you have the temerity to try to dramatize a theme that involves any particular social controversy currently extant, then you're in deep trouble.
For instance?
A racial theme, for example. The case in point, I think, a show I did for the Steel Hour some years ago, 3 years ago, called Noon on Doomsday, which was a story which purported to tell what was the aftermath of the alleged kidnapping in Mississippi of the Till Boy, the young Chicago Negro. And I wrote the script using black and white.
I didn't know he did a treatment of the Emmett Till story. Also, there is language in this that's like old-timey nomenclature for certain groups of people. Warning.
Initially. Then it was changed to suggest an unnamed foreigner. Then the locale was moved from the south to New England, and I'm convinced they'd have gone up to Alaska. Or
Gotcha. No wonder I didn't hear about it. It got butchered by the censors. Okay.
The North Pole, and using Eskimos as a possible minority, except I suppose the costume problem was of sufficient severity not to attempt it. But it became a lukewarm, vitiated, emasculated kind of show.
You went along with it?
All the way. I protested. I went down fighting, as most television writers do.
Yeah.
Thinking, in a strange, oblique, philosophical way, that better say something than nothing. In this particular show, though, by the time they had finished taking Coca-Cola bottles off the set because the sponsor claimed that this had Southern connotations, suggesting to what depth they went to make this a clean, antiseptically, rigidly acceptable show.
You can't have Coca-Cola on the table. It has Southern connotations. For those that don't know, Coca-Cola is based in Atlanta, Georgia.
No relationship at all to what we had purported to say initially.
Patty Chayefsky has talked about the insidious influence of what he calls pre-censorship. How does that work?
Pre-censorship is a practice, I think, of most television writers. I can't speak for all of them. This is the prior knowledge of the writer of those areas which are difficult to try to get through. And so a writer will shy away from writing those things which he knows he's going to have trouble with on the sponsorial or an agency level. We practice it all the time. We just do not write those themes which we know are going to get into trouble.
Who's the culprit? Is it the network, the sponsor? It sure is not the FCC.
No, it's certainly not the FCC, ideally speaking, of course. It's a combination of culprits in this case, Mike. It's partly network. It's principally agency and sponsor. In many ways, I think it's the audience themselves.
How do you mean?
Well, I'll give you an example. About a year ago, roughly 11 or 12 months ago, on the Lassie show, this is a story usually told by Sheldon Leonard, who was then associated with the show. Lassie was having puppies, and I have two little girls, then aged 5 and 3, who are greatly enamored of this beautiful collie, and they watched the show with great interest, and Lassie gave birth to puppies. And Mike, it was probably one of the most tasteful and delightful and warm things depicting what is this wondrous thing that is birth. And after the show, I think there were many congratulations all around, because it was a lovely show. The sort of thing I'd love my kids to watch, to show them what is the birth process and how marvelous it is. They got many, many cards and letters. Sample card from the Deep South, this was. If I wanted my kids to watch sex shows, I wouldn't have had them turn on that. I could take them to burlesque shows.
A plot line in Lassie where Lassie has puppies is the moral equivalent of taking your child to a strip club is certainly a very Southern take.
And as a result of the influx of mail, many of the cards, incidentally, as Sheldon tells it, were postmarked at identical moments, all in the same handwriting, but each was counted as a singular piece of mail. And as a result, the directive went down that there would be no shows having anything to do with puppies. That is, in the actual birth process. Well, obviously, it is this wild lunatic fringe of letter writers that greatly affect what the sponsor has in mind.
You can understand the position of the sponsor, can't you?
In many ways, I suppose I can. He's there to push a product.
He has a considerable stake, thus, in what goes on the air.
Most assuredly. And in those cases where there is a problem of public taste, in which there is a concern for eliciting negative response from a large mass of people, I can understand why the guys are frightened.
Sure.
I don't understand, Mike, for example, other evidences and instances of intrusion by sponsors. For example, on Playhouse 90, not a year ago, a lovely show called Judgment at Nuremberg.
This is the anecdote about the Nuremberg trial TV movie I was talking about earlier.
I think probably one of the most competently done and artistically done pieces that 90's done all year. In it, as you recall, mention was made of gas chambers.
Yeah.
And the line was deleted, cut off the soundtrack. And it mattered little to these guys that the gas involved in concentration camps was cyanide, which bore no resemblance, physical or otherwise, to the gas used in stoves. They cut the line.
Because the sponsor was...
He did not want that awful association made between what was the horror and the misery of Nazi Germany with the nice chrome, wonderfully antiseptically clean, beautiful kitchen appliances that they were selling. Now, this is an example of sponsor interference which is so beyond logic and which is so beyond taste. This I rebel against.
You've got a new series coming up called The Twilight Zone. You are writing as well as acting executive producer on this one. Who controls the final product, you or the sponsor?
We have what I think, at least theoretically anyway, because it hasn't really been put into practice yet, a good working relationship, where in questions of taste, in questions of the art form itself, in questions of drama, I'm the judge, because this is my medium and I understand it. I'm a dramatist for television. This is the area I know. I've been trained for it. I've worked for it for 12 years, and the sponsor knows his product, but he doesn't know mine. So when it comes to the commercials, I leave that up to him. When it comes to the story content, he leaves it up to me.
Has nothing been changed in the...
We changed in 18 scripts, Mike. We have had one line changed, which again was a little ludicrous, but of insufficient basic concern within the context of the story, not to put up a fight. On the bridge of a British ship, a sailor calls down to the galley and asks, in my script, for a pot of tea, because I believe that it's constitutionally acceptable in the British Navy to drink tea.
Yeah.
One of my sponsors happens to sell instant coffee, and he took great umbrage, or at least minor umbrage anyway, with the idea of saying tea. Well,
That is so goddamn stupid. Like, I hate to be this person. I'm sure there are many, many intelligent people within the advertising community. But, like, what kind of person are you that you're like, you need to change this tea in the script to coffee, because I'm selling coffee. And no one will buy coffee if they know tea exists in this story. It's just, like, ludicrous to a point that it's like, how do you even take yourself seriously, you know? I don't know. Just seems like a waste of everyone's time and breath.
We had a couple of swings back and forth, nothing serious, and we decided we'd ask for a tray to be sent up to the bridge. But in 18 scripts, that's the only conflict we've had.
Well,
They've passed
what?
I mean, every script.
Is pre-censorship, though, involved? Are you simply writing easy?
In this particular area, no, because we're dealing with a half-hour show, which cannot probe like a 90, which doesn't use scripts as vehicles of social criticism. These are...
I love this. I'd like to think he's outright... I don't know who he's lying to here. Is he lying to the advertisers right now to get them to come in and buy in, even though obviously the Twilight Zone is just chocked full of social commentary? Or is he lying to himself, where he really intended to write the Twilight Zone as a pretty straight sci-fi fantasy series, and just couldn't help himself? I don't know which choice I like better, that he is bullshitting sponsors to their face and basically thinking to himself, these people are so stupid, I'm going to write incredibly obvious social commentary and they're not going to get it because these idiots are in advertising and don't understand metaphor. Or could he just not help himself and he had to be like, oh, these monsters are due on Maple Street.
Strictly for entertainment.
These are pot boilers.
Oh, no. I wouldn't call them pot boilers at all. No, these are very adult, I think high quality, half-hour, extremely polished films. But because they deal in the areas of fantasy and imagination and science fiction and all of those things, there's no opportunity to cop a plea or chop an axe or anything.
Well, you're not going to be able to cop a plea or chop an axe because you're going to be obviously working so hard on the Twilight Zone that, in essence, for the time being and for the foreseeable future, you've given up on writing anything important for television, right?
Yeah. Again, this is a semantic.
He was talking about 90 in reference to 90 minutes. Like, it's not a... Like, he had previously worked on TV movies that ran, like, 90 minutes, whereas Twilight Zones are 30.
Important for television? I don't know. If by important you mean I'm not going to try
and
to
yeah,
delve...
Playhouse 90 was a block of television where it would be, like, 90-minute TV movies. A play or something put in televised. TV movie would be sort of the modern nomenclature.
Current social problems dramatically, you're quite right, I'm not.
You told Kay
When was his Carol to Another Christmas relative to this? I believe it was after. Twilight Zone was already on the air by then. He was doing that as a favor to the UN, I think. Don't remember the exact year, but it was after Twilight Zone. Or during. At least contemporary with it. I'm not sure the exact year. Skifazoa with a 250 stream streak says 25% done, 750 to go. Whew, you better not miss a single one. That's going to be devastating for you.
Hello, the New York Daily News this. You said, professionally, I don't think Twilight Zone will hurt me, but I must admit I don't think it'll help me either. I'm stepping out of the line of fire You've had it as far as trying to beat your brains out.
Would you just read me the first 2 lines, Mike?
Professionally, I don't think Twilight Zone will hurt me, but I must admit I don't think it'll help me.
I never said that. I'm convinced it'll help me. I have great pride in this show. In 11 or 12 years of writing, Mike, I can lay claim to at least this. I have never written beneath myself. I've never written anything that I didn't want my name attached to. I have probed deeper in some scripts, and I've been more successful in some than others. But all of them that have been on, you know, I'll take my lick. They're mine, and that's the way I wanted them. Somebody asked me the other day if this means that I'm going to be a meek conformist, and my answer is no. I'm just acting the role of a tired nonconformist, and I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to
fight anymore.
I don't want to have to battle sponsors and agencies. I don't want to have to push for something that I want and have to settle for second best. I don't want to have to compromise all the time, which in essence is what the television writer does if he wants to put on controversial themes.
Well, then why?
Thank you, Altered Undying. Play for today. I will save this 1976 BBC drama anthology. Nice. Thank you very much. Save this real quick. Saved.
Why do you stay in television?
I stay in television because I think it's very possible to perform a function of providing adult, meaningful, exciting, challenging drama without dealing in controversy necessarily. This, of course, Mike, is not the best of all possible worlds. I am not suggesting that this is at the absolute millennium. I think it's criminal that we're not permitted to make dramatic note of social evils as they exist, of controversial themes as they are inherent in our society. I think it's ridiculous that drama, which by its very nature should make a comment on those things that affect our daily lives, is in the position, at least in terms of television drama, of not being able to take this stand. But these are the facts of life. This is the way it exists. And they can't look to me or Shaefsky or Rose or Gore Vidal or J.P. Miller or any of these guys as the precipitators of the big change. It's not for us to do it.
Of course, Shaefsky got out of television.
Yeah, he did, and I can't knock that. I think this takes a relative degree of guts to leave a medium that's made you as sociable, as a kind of a household name. Patty was the first guy to kind of lend stature to the television writer. Prior to Patty Shaefsky, most of us were considered to be two-headed hacks who worked around the clock and used boy-girl situations in any one of 5,000 different routine manners. But Patty gave us a stature, and I respect Patty's decision to leave. He felt that he wasn't satisfied with doing things half-best.
Do you think you could make it outside of television?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I could. And I suppose this is an admission of a kind of weakness, or at least a sense of insecurity on my part.
Am I incorrect? Did he help adapt the screenplay for Planet of the Apes? I know he was a producer. I don't recall if he was an actual worked on the screen. Of course, it's adapted from a book, but he did write the screenplay for Planet of the Apes, which is quite drastically different than the book, by the way. If you're familiar that Planet of the Apes is based on a book, the movie is very, very different than the book. Kind of funny how little he thought of himself, seemingly, when one of the greatest science fiction and fantasy writers of the 20th century, at least for television, for the screen, when you're counting Planet of the Apes.
I've never had a Broadway play produced. What few motion pictures I've written have been somewhat less than spectacular. And I suppose I stay in the medium partly as an admission of, I want to stay in the womb. This is the medium I understand. These are the tools and techniques that I've been versed in for many years. Maybe I don't want to, get stuck up on the board and get shot at with
We're already a Planet of the Apes. Well, Planet of the other hominids that evolved after we wiped ourselves off, both doesn't roll off the tongue and ruins the spoiler of the movie. So
it's in a Broadway play when
they had to go with Planet of the Apes.
I'm not sure I'm prepared for it. But Patty was willing to take the chance. Gore Vidal writes novels. Bob Arthur did Broadway.
What about you and novels?
Ultimately, I'd love to write a novel, and I think next year I'll start my play. Requiem was under option. It was written as a play, and I gave them their money back, and I want to do it over again. But I stay in the medium also because I happen to like the medium.
Herb Brodkin, who's a TV producer who was associated with some of your earlier plays, has said this about you. He said, Rod is either going to stay commercial or become a discerning artist, but not both.
I remember the quote. He gave it to Gilbert Milstein when Milstein was doing a profile on me in the New York Times. I didn't understand it at the time. I failed to achieve any degree of understanding in the ensuing years, which are 3 in number. If I presume Herb means that inherently you cannot be commercial and artistic. You cannot be commercial and quality. You cannot be commercial concurrent with having a preoccupation with the level of storytelling that you want to achieve. And this I have to reject. I think you can be, I don't think calling something commercial tags it with a kind of an odious suggestion that it stinks, that it's something raunchy to be ashamed of. I don't think if you say commercial means to be publicly acceptable, what's wrong with that? As long, the essence of my argument, Mike, is that as long as you are not ashamed of anything you write, if you're a writer, as long as you're not ashamed of anything you perform if you're an actor, and I'm not ashamed of doing a television series. I could have done probably 30 or 40 film series over the past 5 years. I presume at least I've turned down that many, with great guarantees of cash, with great guarantees of financial security, but I've turned them down because I didn't like them.
Screenplay was written by Michael Wilson and Rod Serling. Thank you for that.
God knows they were commercial. But I think innate in what Herb says is this suggestion made by many people that you can't have public acceptance and still be artistic. And as I say, I have to reject that.
One of your most recent plays was one called The Velvet Alley, right?
Right.
It was about the corrupting influences of Hollywood and big money.
Right.
Where'd that come from? Your own experiences?
Part of it was very autobiographical. Part of it was a composite of observation of other people involved.
Well, what do you mean by the corrupting influence of Hollywood and big money? What is that? What
I
are you saying?
I didn't mean to suggest that corruption had a geographical tag, that it was necessarily the corruption of Hollywood, but
He always has such a way with words. He always knows exactly how to redirect a question into the answer that best explains his worldview and do so with brevity. I don't know. He's just got such a way with words. I love this man.
Tried to suggest dramatically was that when you get into the
like who thinks of I didn't mean to put a geographical stamp on it. Like that's such a specific way of phrasing that. I love him. Right said Rob. Thanks for gifting us up.
Money, particularly in the kind of detonating, exciting, explosive, overnight way that our industry permits. There are certain blandishments that a guy can succumb to, and many do.
Oh, Nemesaur. Nemesaur, thank you for gifting 20 Tier 1 subs. I really appreciate it. I know I'm not doing much today, so, like, I'm very thankful for that. Thank you.
A preoccupation with status, with the symbols of status, with the heated swimming pool that's 10 feet longer than the neighbors, with the big car.
I'm already starting to feel better, by the way, so hopefully by tomorrow and the next day, I should be back to more or less normal.
With the concern about billing, all these things, in a sense, rather minute things, really, in context, but that become disproportionately large in a guy's mind.
And also, because those become so large, what becomes small?
I think probably the really valuable things.
I'm glad that this show entertains you in any way.
Sounds corny and sort of buckwheatish to say that things like having a family, being concerned with raising children, being concerned with where they go to school, being concerned with a good marital relationship, all these things I think are of the essence. Unfortunately, and the problem, as I tried to dramatize in The Velvet Alley, was that the guy who makes a success is immediately assailed by everybody. And you suddenly find yourself having to compromise along the line, giving so many hours to work and a disproportionate number of fewer hours to family. Yeah. And this is inherent in our business.
How many hours a day do you work right now as executive producer and or writer on?
12 to 14 hours a day.
Jesus.
How many days a week?
7. And
I don't mean, now seriously, I'm not asking for figures here, but obviously, the Twilight Zone is your own creation. You're doing it for money.
Kind of creepy watching him smoke here, knowing that does him in, you know? Like, it's not shocking. The man smoked constantly. Like you could look him up in the encyclopedia and he's next to chain smoking. Like, he just was always smoking. Damn. Creepy watching someone actively do something that, like, murdered them. I say as I reach for my Coke Zero glass. Decades later, people watching VODs of me drinking this after we find out that aspartame is a super, super duper carcinogen. Tumors.
I think that our audience would be fascinated to know And again, I don't want to get too specific, but how rich can a fella get under these circumstances?
Well, if the show is successful, he can get tremendously rich. He can make $500,000, I suppose.
$500,000 of what? A year?
Over a period of 3 or 4 years, I suppose, yeah. But, Mike, I'm not... Again, this sounds defensive, and it probably sounds phony. But I'm not nearly as concerned with the money to be made on this show as I am with the quality of it, and I can prove that. I have a contract with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, which guarantees me something in the neighborhood of $250,000 over a period of 3 years. This is a contract I'm trying to break and get out of, so I can devote time to a series which is very iffy.
He smokes 3 to 4 packs a day? Jesus.
A problematical thing. It's only guaranteed
Surprised he lived as long as he did.
6 weeks, and if it only goes 26 weeks and stops, I'll have lost a great deal of money. But I would rather take the chance and do something I like, something I'm familiar with, something that has a built-in challenge to it.
It's even possible, though, that if it is a success, you could make well over the $2 million that you suggested,
Right.
4 years, $500,000 apiece.
Quite right, but I happen to feel, after a year and a half of working 12 to 14 hours a day...
We've gone back and given him cocaine. I'm horrified to imagine the kind of stories Rod Serling would have written while on cocaine. And I'm very aware that, like, most of the stories for the Twilight Zone were adapted from other people's short stories. Often Rod Serling was really great at adaptation, right? Like, that's not to say he was a bad writer himself. Wasn't. But his stock in trade was like, here's a story that already exists and making it work, you know, in this format. What's the best I can get out of this story in my 30 minutes minus whatever ad time we sold, you know? But holy shit. Do you know how much I would give to read a story written by Rod Serling while he was on cocaine? It would be great.
And I think I rate it. I think anybody does who works that hard and can create an idea. And can...
The monologue just goes so fast he can't even catch it. It's like the Micro Machine Man. Submitted for your approval. I won't believe that you will understand what I'm about to say about this powder that I found in the street one day. He found the powder in the street, he found it, and he put it up his nose, and then it was like, oh my god, this is so fast, I need to write a script right now for the episode that I have for a TV show that I'm writing this week. Submitted for your approval, or whatever. Go, just tilt the camera. He's over there, tilt the camera.
And can make a show go.
30 seconds. Is television good?
Some television's wonderful. Some television is exciting and promising and has vast potential. Some television is mediocre and bad. But I think it has promise, Mike. I think this can conceivably be a real art form. And I stick with it for the reasons I said, and because I think that it can only improve, and can improve tremendously, and I think aims toward that.
Rod Serling's story can be summed up in just a few words. From 40 rejection slips to 3 Emmy Awards, from a trailer home to a hacienda in Hollywood complete with swimming pool. It hasn't been a long road, but it's been a hard one. And the last couple of miles have been paved with gold. We thank Rod Serling for adding his portrait to our gallery. One of the
Rod thinks to himself, oh, that's pretty good. I'm going to steal that.
Other people are interested in. Mike Wallace, that's it for now.
I'm going to steal that shit. Give me 20 years. 20 years. Night Gallery. That's mine, motherfucker. I stole it from you. I also own Night Gallery, if anyone cares. Anyway. Yeah, new media as evil is just the standard. Jesus. Look at the comic books had it too. The Seduction of Our Youth. Terrible fucking book. Ooh, we should read it sometime on stream. That'd be... Alright, let's see who we're gonna raid here on Twitch. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. Thank you very much for watching stuff with me while I wasn't feeling good. Hopefully I'll be feeling better by the next time you see me. I should be streaming tomorrow, though I do have to work early in the morning. I gotta get up at like 6 to work. Like, less than 12 hours from now. God damn it. But then, I'll try and stream. We'll see how I'm feeling after work, but I'm going to try my hardest to stream, and then I have, I believe, D&D later in the night. So, like, we'll see. But either way, I'll definitely be back Sunday, and that'll be good. But I will try to stream tomorrow. I should be able to, barring anything terrible. Alright. Have a great night, everyone. Oh, wait, I gotta pick. He's not on Twitch, but Blue Bacon is doing a dramatic reading of Jeremy DeWitt's Federal Indictment. Sounds kind of funny. Fuck it, maybe we'll try Blue Bacon. We've never raided him. It's not like an official raid, because I don't think he can do raids on YouTube, so I don't know.
Business is like...
Alright, here's a link. Check it out. This is, he covers sovereign citizens and all sorts of different stuff, but Blue Bacon is right now covering Jeremy DeWitt's federal sentencing. Jeremy DeWitt's the guy who pretends to be a cop that we used to cover. So go check that out. All right. Good night, everyone. I'll see you soon. Love you, Mr. Blast, and be cool. See you soon, everyone. Bye.